Right, we're going to leave our 5 Live coverage there for now. Welcome to Molineux here on 5 Live Sports Extra 2 for live Premier League football between Wolverhampton Wanderers. 4 games into this new season, 4 defeats for Vitor Pereira's side against the Leeds United team, who are faring a little better in terms of their points return with 4 points from their 4 games. But their big problem right now is scoring goals. They've got 1 all season in the Premier League, and it was a penalty. So as September games go, Andy Reid, former Premier League winger, this is a pretty pressurised situation for both.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Leeds will be the happier. They've got some points on the board. Getting them initial points early in the season is really, really important. And Wolves have really struggled to do that, as we all know. So it's a big game for them today. And for me, I think all the pressure is on Wolves. Leeds can come here and give it a right go. And if they do end up getting a win, could end up 7 points clear of a potential relegation rival.
And the rain is falling, which is just adding to the drama as well. It's a very wet afternoon in the West Midlands.
Yeah, it's been raining pretty much all morning. I mean, we've seen probably about 2 hours before kick-off. Anthony Taylor, the referee, was out on the pitch and he was throwing the ball around. I don't think the game was ever under threat, don't get me wrong, but he wanted to just check and see, and just as the players came out onto the pitch, it started to come down a lot heavier. Interesting game we've got on our hands here.
Right, the two teams break away from their pre-match huddle. I'll give you the team news in just a moment. Wolves in the old gold, the black shorts, the old gold socks going from right to left. A big roar from the Molineux Stadium, and in particular over towards our left-hand side in the stand colours, that big imposing stand behind the goal that Carl Darlow, the Leeds goalkeeper, is occupying in the first half. And Leeds in all white, and they're going to get us underway, the visitors, going from left to right. Live Premier League football here on 5 Live Sports Extra. The blow of the whistle from Anthony Taylor, the referee, and we're off and underway. Leeds get us started. The team news, with Leeds in possession at the moment inside their own half. For Wolves, 4 changes from the defeat at Newcastle last week. Jose Sarr's back in goal. Chachua, Bellegarde and Fer Lopez makes his first Wolves start. So out go Johnston, Bueno, Andre, who's on the bench again, and Hwang Hee-chan. So in full for Wolves, Sarr in goal, Agbadou, Mosquera and Totti, Chachua and Gomez the fullbacks, Gomez, João Gomez and Ladislav Krejci in midfield, Fer Lopez and Jean-Rickner Bellegarde either side of Tolu Orokodare. And I'll give you the Leeds formation and the team in just a moment as Leeds work their way through midfield with some nice footwork actually by Ethan Ampadu, their number 4, out towards that left-hand side. We'll give you the goals as they go in the Premier League, Championship, League 1 and League 2 this afternoon. And remember, if you want to listen to Brighton against Tottenham, that is live on 5 Live right now with Alistair Bruce Ball and Michael Brown. And Andy, straight away, the one noticeable thing as the ball rolls out of play for a Wolves goal kick is that the atmosphere inside Molineux, it's almost like the Wolves fans know today that their team need them. Yeah,
I think they do. This has always been, it can be quite a hostile place at times to come. The fans are always pretty loud. They've started off in really good voice today. And, I think as a player, when you step out on that football pitch, it really helps you when you know that the fans are behind you. The players then obviously need to react to that, and they need to come up with something to keep them cheering, because it could be a different scenario if they go a goal down.
Bogle winning a throw for Leeds in the right back area, but Wolves have got it back on the halfway line with Bellegarde. The Leeds team, by the way, unchanged despite that very late defeat at Fulham last week. So Carl Darlow continues in goal. There's no Lucas Perry, the new goalkeeper who arrived in the summer. He's still out with a quad injury. Bogle, Rodon, Strauch and Goodmanson are the back 4. Goodmanson, of course, was the player who scored that late own goal. Longstaff, Ampadu and Stack in midfield. Aronson and Okafor either side of Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, I think what you're going to find today is that Wolves are going to try and outnumber Leeds in the middle of the park. They'll try and create a box where they can get Bellegarde and Lopez kind of coming in off the line and really outnumbering Leeds in the middle of the park. It's a difficult formation to play against, but you have to have the ball to really assert your dominance.
First goal's gone in the afternoon in League 2, and unbeaten Gillingham are behind. Newport County 1, Gillingham 0. The ball is back with Jose Sarr, the Wolves goalkeeper, who's got the full the black kit on today. He looks like he's got the leggings on as well with the rain. I mean, it doesn't feel like that's the sort of attire needed today.
It's a bit early for that, isn't it? It won't work when it really gets cold.
Here is Joe Rodon, the Welshman, out towards this near right-hand side where Jayden Bogle, with the pink boots on, sends it back in field to Rodon again, and across Leeds play from right to left to Pascal Strout, their centre-half, who they actually missed in the running of last season with a foot injury, Pascal Strout. But this Leeds back four in particular has been ever present so far in the start of this new Premier League season. Yeah, he's a presence in there. You can see him organising. He's one of them dominant players. He likes to be aggressive. He likes to step in as well, which is. But I also think that Ampadu, and he missed the first couple of games of the season, getting him back into the team, I think is vital for them. He marshals that area just in front of the back four, in possession and out of possession. I think he does a good job. He's got a lot of experience under his belt now, having played a lot of games for Wales as well, so they'll rely heavily on him today in this game. The ball is back with Carl Darlow, the Leeds United goalkeeper. 0-0, 4 minutes played here. A goal in the Premier League to tell you about. Burnley 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Talking of Welshman, Nico Williams has scored for Nottingham Forest at Turf Moor. So Ange Postecoglou, of course, had his first Forest game in charge last week at Arsenal, then was beaten very late on by Swansea from 2-0 up to 3-2 down in the League Cup. Look, I know Nico Williams plays a full-back, and he probably hasn't scored as many as he should, but I've seen him in training. He's an incredible finisher, so I'm never surprised to see Nico getting on the score sheet. It's Ladislav Krejci, the Wolves midfielder on the halfway line, who's on loan from Girona, the Czech Republic international, but it's a misplaced touch by Emmanuel Agbadou, the right-sided Wolves centre-half in that back three, and it's a Leeds throw on the halfway line. Wolves 0, Leeds 0. Yeah, I think what you find the early stages of the game, and you see a lot in Premier League games, they're just kind of jostling for position here. Neither team has kind of really settled into it. You can't see too much flow in the game, or nobody's really on top. There hasn't been any chances. It's a little bit cagey, I would suggest, in the early stages. One by Calvert-Lewin with a flick down the right-hand side with his head towards Aronson, but cleared away by Mosquera for Wolves. Yes, and Mosquera back into the team last week. That's a nice touch by Okafor. 15 yards outside the box, he spun away from his man. Leeds have still got it out on that far left-hand side, and it's in possession with Gabriel Gudmundsson, their Swedish fullback. Back 10 yards to Stack, and infield towards Ampadu. Wolves 0, Leeds 0. This Wolves team, who so far have been beaten here 4-0 by Manchester City. They lost 1-0 at Bournemouth, 3-2 at home to Everton, though speaking to a couple of our colleagues who were here that day from a Wolves perspective and said they really weren't good. Here's Gudmundsson for Leeds, a little 1-2, gets it back off Stack, across goal, and nobody there on the end of it. Gabriel Gudmundsson across the 6-yard box. Bogle, the right back, sends it back in. There he is again, Gudmundsson, and it's cleared away by João Gomez. Wolves were completely cut apart by that move. Yeah, it starts with Ampadu getting on the ball, and there's absolutely no pressure on the ball. You know, you've got a relegation rival here. They come away from home. We know they're feeling their way back into the Premier League. Wolves should be getting after them. They should be really pressing them high up the pitch, really putting pressure on. No pressure on them. The ball goes out to Gudmundsson, who plays really, really good football on that left-hand side. Good combination. 1-2 in the box. He puts a dangerous ball across the goal, and unfortunately from a Leeds perspective, they just couldn't get enough bodies in the box to really make it count. But a good situation for them, and we spoke about that crowd, and the crowd starting to get a little bit edgy. But now they'll be right behind Wolves as they come forward. Scoreline's 0-0. Krejci from the halfway line. Beautiful ball forward from Krejci into the box. It was a touch that I think if Fer Lopez could wish to have again, he just almost took his eye off it, and the opportunity's gone. Yeah, it was a really good ball, and he made a good run, expecting him just to bring it down, get on that left foot, see if he could come inside. This is a bit better from Wolves, and here's Krejci in the box, who scores the goal for Wolves. His first ever for the club, the Czech Republic international, racing onto a clip ball into the penalty area, took it first time, left-footed, beat Darlow with a firm finish, and Wolves in front just 8 minutes in at Molineux, and that's what this winless Premier League team needed. A start like that. Wolves 1, Leeds 0. Yeah, it's a really nice goal, and we spoke about taking your chances. Leeds definitely didn't take the chance a couple of minutes ago. Goes up the other end of the pitch, little bit of pressure from Wolves the first time in the game. Ball comes back to Lopez,
who lifts a lovely side-footed pass. The weight on the pass was absolutely brilliant. There was a lovely set, lovely weight on the pass. Krejci makes that run, and it's a nice finish, lifted into the top of the net. All in all, that is a really, really good goal. Some really slick play, great way to pass, and an excellent finish, and the crowd are on their feet now.
Yeah, that famed Molineux atmosphere has just gone up a notch as well with that goal from Ladislav Krejci. And Wolverhampton Wanderers, remember, no points from their first 4 Premier League games this season, 1-0 up against Leeds United, and Ladislav Krejci has immediately got tens of thousands in old gold onside here.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's come out of nothing really. You know, there's no they haven't had any real possession, or haven't had any real territory gains, and that's kind of come out of nothing. The ball's been popped up there, but that just shows you how quickly things can change in the Premier League. The players, there's quality in every single team, and if you switch off for a second, like Leeds did, nobody went with the runner. He ends up getting a ball kind of 6-7 yards out where he can just lift into the top of the net. You always have to be switched on. Poor defending, I suppose you say, from a Leeds perspective, but it was good play from a Wolves point of view. And
it just seems to have lifted not just the crowd but those on the pitch as well, because suddenly Wolves are popping the ball around with a bit more confidence. Here is Totti with his dyed blonde hair, the Wolves centre half, who has already been sent off this season actually against Bournemouth. Agbadou from the halfway line, lifting it forward down the right hand side, cut out by Goodmanson, but it was only half a clearance really from the Leeds defender, but he gets the ball back again, and now they can bring it forward with Ampadu, who's clipped one down that left hand channel for Calvert-Lewin. It might just bounce away from Calvert-Lewin, but he had to engage really with Yerson Mosquera, and Mosquera comes away with it. It was really good movement from Calvert-Lewin. He's come short as if he was going to receive it, and like you say, the centre forwards come short, spin in behind. He spun in behind, but I think the issue was there. He just didn't have the pace to get away from Mosquera. This game is suddenly getting very frantic indeed, as João Gomes for Wolves gives it to Rodrigo Gomes on the left hand side, 2/3 of the way inside Leeds half, and then Bellegarde sort of half pokes one towards goal, and it just trickles through to Carl Darlow. So that can give me a quick chance to tell you there's been another goal in the Premier League, and it's come at the Amex Stadium, where Brighton are leading Tottenham by a goal to nil. Yankuba Minte has got the goal. In League 2, Swindon Town, who've had an excellent start to the season, top of the table at the beginning of the day, they are 1-0 down at Salford City, who also started the morning in the top 3. It's Stevenage 1, Exeter 0, and Walsall 1, Tranmere Rovers 0. They are the latest scores from across the Premier League and the EFL this afternoon. We've had 11 minutes here at Molineux. Wolves 1, Leeds 0. Ladislav Krejci with his first ever goal for Wolves. Yeah, and it was a good goal as well. I think it's been a pretty even start to the game. I don't think any team has really grabbed the ball by the scruff of the neck. Maybe Wolves just look like that goal has given them a little bit of an extra spring in their step, and they're probably looking to push home that advantage and put Leeds under more pressure. This is Totti halfway inside Leeds half to Rodrigo Gomes, who does have a couple of goals already this season. The Portuguese, one in the Premier League, one in the League Cup here against West Ham United. And on the subject of players that scored in that game, Jurgen Strand-Larsen got a couple for Wolves. He's back on the bench today as well, which is a big plus for Vitor Pereira, off the back of him signing a new contract with the club, and the manager signing a new contract with the club as well, which was not a move you see too often, Andy Rees. Yeah, it's probably unheard of, isn't it? No wins in the first 4 games of the season, league games of the season, and then you get a new deal. So, but it just probably goes to show that what we don't see behind the scenes, that they obviously feel the work going on the training pitch, that they're moving in the right direction. They're happy with how the squad is developing and the team is developing. I think the key to that is transferring the work that you do on the training pitch onto the pitch on a Saturday afternoon like we've got today. 12 minutes played, 1-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers here against Leeds United. And remember, as the ball goes back to Carl Darlow, the Leeds goalkeeper, they were 19th when Wolves were when Vitor Pereira came in, and they survived by April, which was Really testament to him. Here's Fer Lopez, the young Spaniard who just spins but runs into traffic in the form of Noah Okafor on the edge of Wolves' penalty area. And now Okafor's opening up his legs and he's moving very gracefully down the left-hand side. He's halfway in Wolves' half. He's carried it a bit further, and the interception is from Totti, who stands across the path of Calvert-Lewin, but then immediately gives the ball away. So Leeds have got it deep in Wolves' territory, far left-hand side with Gudmundsson now, who's making tracks into the penalty area. Okafor with the back heel, he was trying to return it to his left back, and it was slightly flamboyant and it didn't pay off, but Wolves are giving it back to Leeds again. That's a strike from distance, which is a long way over the top of the crossbar from Ampadu, and some slightly hesitant Wolves defending in the build-up to that.
Yeah, there was, again, probably standing off the Leeds players a little bit too much. I have to say, I do like the look of the Leeds left-hand side, Okafor and Gudmundsson. He looks like a marauding full-back. I know he's putting some really good performances over the past couple of years to a high level in the Champions League with Lille, so he's one that is definitely worth keeping an eye on this season, and he started this game particularly well. He's played a couple of 1-2s in and around the box. He looks like he's aggressive, he's on the front foot, and he wants to drive into them spaces that the Wolves defenders might leave.
Here is Aronson, 5 yards in from the touchline, inside Wolves half, on for Ampadu and out towards the left hand side for Gudmundsson. And I think Leeds will be feeling great disappointment that not only are they behind, but they're behind in a game where actually they haven't started too badly here.
Yeah, I like I said, other than the goal and the chance for that Leeds had maybe 90 seconds before, there hasn't really been too much goalmouth action.
Here's Stack collecting the ball 15 yards outside Wolves' penalty area. Wolves 1, Leeds 0 is the scoreline. As the cross comes in from the left, it was aimed towards Calvert-Lewin. It didn't reach him because it was nodded away by Mosquera, and Aroka Dare showing some good physical presence to hold the ball up on the halfway line. Bellegarde trying to set Chachura away down the right hand side. Gudmundsson did well to stay with him and ultimately to outmuscle in the Leeds defender and to clear it away, because Jackson Chachua is mighty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see that when he opened his legs up there, and we spoke about Gudmundsson in an attacking sense a couple of moments ago. He had to earn his crust there as a defender, and he done it particularly well. He used his body well. He got his body in between himself and Chachua, and it was good defending, and he's ended up coming out with the ball.
And noted that Jackson Chachua was the fastest player recorded in Serie A last season from his time with Hellas Verona. And you can see it.
You must have had an interesting week this week. Nothing else to do.
I didn't watch all of his sprint training, you know. Andy Reid with us here on 5 Live Sports Extra for live Premier League football. And we are live, of course, on 5 Live with Brighton against Spurs as well this afternoon. Brighton leading Tottenham by a 1-0. Match of the day tonight, 10:30, BBC One. Wayne Rooney and Danny Murphy are with Kelly Cates, and we'll be at Old Trafford before that for live commentary on 5 Live and BBC Sounds of Manchester United against Chelsea. Here is Totti, the Wolves defender, under a bit of pressure from Aronson as he manages to prod the ball back to Mosquera. All of this happening on the edge of Wolves' penalty area, and then Agbadou gives the ball back to Jose Sarr, who was not available to Wolves last week in their defeat at Newcastle. So Sam Johnson played because Sarr was suffering with illness, but he's back today, the Portuguese. That's a pull by Okafor on the shirt, which has not passed Anthony Taylor by. He's given Wolves a free kick in their right back position. I
think Wolves have caused themselves some problems there. Totti's on the ball, and it doesn't seem to be too much movement in front of him. You know, you're looking at trying to get some of your attacking players on the ball in the pockets, and it wasn't really on for him to play forward, so he ends up having to turn back and play across. And every time that a ball gets played square, the Leeds midfield and the forwards, they get slightly further, they get slightly closer to them, and it becomes difficult then to play. You need to try and break some lines with passes, get players in them 10 positions, get them turn running at the Leeds back line.
That heavy rain that we had pre-match, it seems to have halted for now, but I don't know if you've noted, Andy, all above the Steve Ball stand, the curved Steve Ball stand opposite us here at Molineux, you've got it's got to be about 12, 13 different nationality with flags up there representing all the the players that are on the pitch, their nationalities are represented in the flags. They're fluttering a little bit in the wind, so there's a bit blowing around.
Yeah, there is a little bit, but I think down at pitch level, I think it'd be all right. What you do get when you get a bit of heavy rain, there's a nice slick pitch down there where the players can zip that ball about. And when you talk about line breaking passes, that's what you need to do. You need to really punch them in to take 2 or 3 of the opposition players out of the game.
Nice conditions for wingers, one might say.
Yeah, well, it's difficult for a fullback, isn't it? Especially when the wingers are going at them with pace.
Salford City are 2-0 up against Swindon in League 2. It's not a good day actually for the EFL leaders in the 3 divisions, because Cardiff City, who were top of League 1, they are behind at home to Bradford City, who are right on their tails. Cardiff 0, Bradford 1, and in the Championship it's Portsmouth 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Barry Bannon has scored at Fratton Park. 1-0 Wolves lead here against Leeds United. Ladislav Krejci with the goal, which arrived just 8 minutes in, and the ball is back with Sarr, the Wolves goalkeeper, who sends it up towards the halfway line to Fer Lopez, who flicked it on ahead of Goodmanson, but nobody was beyond him, so Leeds retrieve it in their own half.
I like Longstaff there. He's just change of pace and really put some pressure on. He's really gone after Jose Sarr. He went to close down a couple of defenders. They played it back to the keeper, and he went again. Sarr's ended up having to just kind of knock it long, and it was easy for the Leeds defenders to mop up, and now they're in decent possession. I think Leeds could do it, really getting a bit more pressure on Wolves when they've got the ball. They don't look at the moment like they've got too many options, and a bit more pressure could really get them on the ball in some good positions.
Strout lifting one from the halfway line out towards the right wing, where Totti wins the header in front of Aronson. So Leeds have got a throw 2/3 of the way inside Wolves half, taken towards Bogle and Ampadu, and then on towards the midfielder Anton Stack, who's come in this summer. Here is Longstaff, right side of the penalty area, challenged by João Gomes, picked up by Ampadu, sweeps the pass to the left-hand side, where Okafor dances round one, but then couldn't get past Fer Lopez, and Wolves get it back again, and Wolves can break here. Bellegarde running from inside his own half. He's got support to his right-hand side in Fer Lopez. Arokadare's up there in the middle as well. There's just a delay from Wolves to allow other bodies to join. Krejci's part of this now as well. Now João Gomes, who just puts his foot on the ball, João Gomes, and gives Wolves the chance to settle.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity. It was a good situation for Wolves there, and I don't feel they've kind of maximised that. It was a 3-on-3 at one point, and they just slowed it up, gave the Leeds players opportunities to make them recovery runs and get themselves back in. So I think it could be a bit of a missed opportunity. The chance where it's kind of come from, when Okafor gets on the ball and he's slightly wide, and what you see straight away is Goodmanson. He gets on his bike, he makes that underlapping run just inside, and they're really difficult to defend. Okafor chose that time to not use him and to cut inside, and he gave the ball away.
£18 million they paid Leeds for Noah Okafor from AC Milan, but he actually finished the season on loan at Napoli. He had a few appearances off the bench for the Italian Serie A winners of last season. Just seen Daniel Farke down there with his trademark long black hair, which looks even slicker than normal given the conditions this afternoon. Probably just how he likes it as well, a bit of rain on there just to make sure there's not a hair out of place for the Leeds United manager. And his team are in possession on the halfway line with Strout, who plays a short pass to Goodmanson on the left-hand side, and back it comes into the Leeds centre half again. MK Dons 0, Accrington Stanley 1, and Wickham 1, Northampton Town 0. A couple of latest goals for you in the EFL. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got 3 more Premier League games for you as well. Sunderland against Aston Villa on 5 Live, Bournemouth Newcastle you can get from 2 o'clock on 5 Live Sports Extra, and then of course a big one, Arsenal against Manchester City from 4:30. So make sure you're with us for another stacked day of Premier League football. Wolves leading Leeds by a goal to 0 here, but Leeds on the front foot on the right wing with Aronson. Aronson's ball into the box, it was missed by João Gomes, cleared away by Wolves as far as Ampadu, who's 15 yards outside the box. And now Longstaff towards the right-hand side again for Aronson, rolls his foot over the ball, back inside for the former Newcastle midfielder Longstaff, who joined in the summer, ending that 18-year association he had with the Geordies. And Leeds enjoying a bit of possession at the moment.
Yeah, if I was a Wolves fan, I would be quite frustrated at this. They don't really, Wolves look really passive. They don't look, I know they've gone a goal up, and you goal up and you feed off the energy in the stadium, really get after these Leeds players, but they haven't done that. They're letting Leeds knock the ball around. They're dropping into a mid to low block, which has given Leeds a lot of possession, and it's given them a lot of territory as well. You see here, there's no reason why they couldn't play, and you can start to hear a couple of groans from the fans. I don't really understand it, because they've got three centre backs there, Mark and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They can push somebody in, go tight, bump the midfield up and start to get a bit of pressure on the ball. It's a little bit too easy for Leeds to have this type of possession at the moment.
Yeah, and the position on the pitch where Leeds stroking the ball around is about 10 yards inside Wolves half at the moment, and they've still got it here with the two centre halves, and out it goes now to the left hand side for Goodmanson into the penalty area, Stack across goal towards Calvert-Lewin, cut out by Totti, who made that move towards the near post, slides and clears it out of play, far left hand side, Leeds throw.
Yeah, good play from Leeds, and it was good defending from Totti. He got himself into a good position, because if he hadn't made that clearance, Dominic Lewin would have been 6 yards out with a tap in. But good play from Leeds. They're knocking the ball about reasonably well, getting into some good positions, especially on that left hand side. That looks like the danger part of the pitch.
Jadon Anthony has equalised for Burnley at Turf Moor, so it's 1-1 between Burnley and Nottingham Forest now elsewhere this afternoon in the Premier League. Here comes the Leeds throw in towards Calvert-Lewin, headed away by João Gomes, who was right in front of him, the Brazilian international, who signed a new 5-year deal with Wolves back in April. And from the advantage that Leeds had, they've still got the ball, but it's all the way back now with their goalkeeper Carl Darlow.
Yeah, the long throw didn't probably reach the distance that Ampadu would have wanted to, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin couldn't get anything on it. Good clearance, and but again, look, you're seeing Leeds with kind of easy possession. It's almost like Wolves are saying, okay, well, go on, you can have the ball. But I just don't see it when you're at home against one of your relegation rivals. Can you get after them a little bit more,
Yeah, but they've got the lead. It's Ladislav Krejci with the goal after 8 minutes. We've played 25 now in the Championship. Hull 1, Southampton 0. Reading are leading Leyton Orient by a goal to 0 in League One, and I think that's about it in terms of the latest scores, but we'll keep you across everything that's happening across the English footballing pyramid today. This is Anton Stack back to Goodmanson, the Leeds left back, and this is an awful long spell now all of a sudden of Leeds United possession. I don't think a Wolves player has had a meaningful touch on it for the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's it's just a bit like what you're doing is you're just giving Leeds the opportunity to really grow back into the game,
Here's Calvert-Lewin, 20 yards outside the box, lifts it in looking for Aronson, who lets it drop over his shoulder and then was stretching to keep it in play, and because he was stretching, he invited the challenge from Rodrigo Gomes, who in turn can't stop it from going for a throw, and Leeds are going to get on with that quickly, trailing by a goal to 0 here, going from left to right in all white as Ampadu lifts one up to the back post, headed away by Chachua, and then picked up by Wolves in midfield, but Fer Lopez has run into some traffic there, and Leeds have got it again with Calvert-Lewin. Aronson shoots from the edge of the box, and he's put it about 3 yards over the top of the crossbar. It was moving a little away from Jose Sarr's goal from the moment it left Aronson's boot.
Yeah, more good play from Leeds. Going through the centre this time. There's a couple of 1-2s in there. There's some good movement, some good sets. Dominic Calvert-Lewin securing the ball. He sets it off to Aronson, and Aronson just cut across the ball maybe a little bit too much. He was looking to try and get a good strike on it, but he just cut across and ended up, and he was probably leaning back a little bit as well, and it just rose over the bar. But more positivity for Leeds. Equaliser
for the League Two leaders, Gillingham at Newport, 1-1 the scoreline. Bradley Dack has got the goal for Gareth Ainsworth's team, as Daniel Farker on the edge of his technical area, the Leeds manager, clapping away, encouraging as his team come again with Aronson. Aronson's 10 yards outside the Wolves penalty area, tried to give it to Calvert-Lewin, but Calvert-Lewin had already made a run and Aronson was intent on playing a certain pass, but Leeds from the halfway line build again down the left hand side with Goodmanson, back in field for Stack into the feet of Longstaff at the moment 15 yards outside the Wolves penalty area, and there is just a bit of a hush from the Wolves fans inside the ground here, because Leeds are, you just sense, Andy, and we've mentioned this a couple of times, it feels like they're beginning to get on top of Wolves now.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes they've dominated the game, really. They've dominated possession, they've dominated territory. They're playing most of the game in the Wolves half. They've created a couple of good chances, a couple of good opportunities, and they look the most likely to get another goal. There's obviously that anxiety. The Wolves players may be feeling a bit of that anxiety. They know that they haven't got a point and it's a bit of negativity, but there could be a chance on the break here.
It was a good challenge by João Gomez, leapt in at the feet of Longstaff, pinched the ball away from him, and now Wolves from this left-hand side with Rodrigo Gomez, who was a bit of a Leeds sandwich there. He was between two and he got barged out of it, and Leeds picked the ball up again with Strauch, who gives it to Rodon on the edge of his own penalty area, with the scoreline Wolves 1, Leeds 0 on 5 Live Sports Extra. And now Leeds on the left hand side with Okafor, who's mighty quick, and he's too quick for Agbadou, managed to stay on his feet. Give credit to the Wolves defender, it looked like Okafor had gone, but Agbadou managed to nip the ball away from him, and he's started an attack for Wolves here all of a sudden. Lopez to the right hand side, Orokadare's in the middle. The cross towards him was not great from Chachua, but Wolves begin again with Bellegarde, and here's Lopez, who is 15 yards outside the Leeds United penalty area.
Yeah, and the fans are just urging them to play a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. It's, you know, they break forward that time, and cross goes in, not a great cross, gets cleared, and then Wolves land on the ball. Still an opportunity to maybe press, to maybe play, to maybe press forward with the ball, and they haven't done that. So there's a little bit of frustration kind of going around the ground here. But what the Wolves players will be just happy to try and get a couple of passes in, because they haven't touched it much in the last 10 minutes.
Agbadou lifting it in, Orokadare tried to get a touch on it. Bogle just about beats Krejci to it, and it, in the end, flicks off the toe of the Wolves midfielder Krejci and goes through to Carl Darlow in the Leeds goal, who of course, Andy, is getting his chance because of that injury to Lucas Perry right now, the man that was brought in essentially to be the Leeds United number 1 this season.
Yeah, I played with Carl when he was a young keeper at Nottingham Forest, so he's one of them that's steady away. Doesn't make too many mistakes. He's not too kind of over the top with some of the stuff that he does. He's been a good pro and he's had a good career, so I think he'll be steady away for Leeds when needed.
This is Okafor, 20 yards outside Wolves penalty area, and he's running towards us, which is towards this near side, the Billy Wright stand that we're commentating from, and then has misdirected his pass, Noah Okafor, so it's the Wolves throw.
After he's done that, he's looked down at the ground, and you can see from here the pitch is in beautiful condition. There's not there's no bubbles on it, that's no. For sure. So I'm not too sure what he was looking at.
There might be a chunk out of the turf now, but it's been caused by him. Here's Bogle, the Leeds United, right back to Strauch, who can move forward. Vitor Pereira is right down in front of us in the Wolves dugout with his big black Wolves puffer jacket on. He's just going now to sit down in his technical area as Bogle for Leeds crosses from the right. Oh, header from Calvert-Lewin to make it 1-1, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin off the mark for Leeds United with a trademark header, leapt from 8 yards out, guided his header into the corner. Sarr was scrambling across to his right to try and reach it, but he couldn't get there, and that pressure from Leeds United has told, and they've got a goal from open play for the first time this season. Yeah. Wolves 1, Leeds 1.
You can't say it's not been coming. Leeds have been dominant the last probably 15 minutes, I would say. They've dominated possession. They've played a lot of that in the Wolves half as well. It's a brilliant header, it really is. The ball comes in from the wide area, and sometimes when the ball comes in from them wide areas, if there's not much pace on it, it's difficult to generate it. It came in a little bit loopy. Calvert-Lewin's pulled off towards the back post, and he's had to generate all his own pace now. Really good in them neck muscles, moving them and looping it up over Jose Sarr. It's an excellent header, and it has to be said, no more than Leeds deserve in this game.
And Dominic Calvert-Lewin went towards the Wolves fans, grabbed the back of his shirt and showed them his name and his number, and I think had a couple of choice words to say to the Wolves supporter as well. His first Premier League goal since he scored for Everton against Tottenham in January, so that will be of a great relief to Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Look, if Leeds are going to stay up this season, they're going to need him to score goals, there's no doubt about that.
Now what's the Wolves response going to be like as they get the ball on the right hand side, deep inside Leeds half? Joao Gomez with a looped cross up towards Rodrigo Gomez, who wins the header, but there were 3 players waiting, but unfortunately for Wolves the ball didn't go anywhere near any of the 3, and Leeds get it away, and then Bogle has gone jumping into Totti, who, to be fair to the Wolves defender, he didn't make a great deal of it, but it looked like Bogle might have led with a forearm slightly.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
The ball's there. He used to go up and challenge. Yeah, he was a little bit late, but well, actually, I've just seen the replay. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I don't think there was too much in it. And to be fair to Totti, he didn't make too much of it either. He just jumped straight back up. He's a big, strong boy, isn't he?
He is. Bradford are 2-0 up against Cardiff now in League One. As are Brighton against Spurs in the Premier League. Yassin Ayari's got a second goal for Brighton. You can hear that right now over on 5 Live. We've got Manchester United against Chelsea to come later on as well. And some League Cup football for you during the week as well, because we'll have Chelsea at Lincoln on Tuesday, Manchester City away at Huddersfield on Wednesday, as well as Port Vale against Arsenal on Wednesday as well on 5 Live Sports Extras. Over on that far right hand side, overchops Pascal Struijk, the Leeds defender, the Dutchman, to put it out of play for a Wolves throw.
It's difficult to walk football out sometimes. It really is. We've seen for probably the last 20 minutes since Wolves scored, no real urgency from them in possession, no real urgency to get men forward. I understand they're a goal up and they don't need to go kind of over the top with it, but as soon as that goal goes in, all of a sudden they look like they've got a little bit more urgency. They look like they're trying to play forward. More people are looking for the ball now. So it's difficult to kind of work out like what is the actual game plan here. It's, you know, keeps flipping from kind of one to the other.
And right now it's probably those Leeds United fans who are congregated right across the lower section of the Steve Ball stand opposite us here at Molineux who will be feeling the happier with the situation. Wolves 1, Leeds 1. Krejci for Wolves after 8 minutes, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin with his first Leeds United goal just after the half hour to bring them level as Wolves get the free kick on the halfway line here. It's interesting, isn't it, just the dynamic of this game and the way it's played out. I mean, you've touched on the fact that Leeds were fully in control in the build-up to that goal, and you just wonder whether it will be playing on the Wolves' minds now, the fact that they probably know that for a good 20-minute portion of this game they have been the second best side in it. Yeah,
no, they have. And I actually think there's a reasonably simple solution to them getting a bit more pressure on the ball, and that's send one of the centre-backs in a little bit tighter, because, you know, I mentioned earlier on, there's 3 centre-backs there and they're marking Calvert-Lewin, and you just think, like, can Totti go in tight on Aronson and put a bit of pressure on them, and then what you do then, you bump the midfielders up and you can get a bit more pressure on Leeds higher up the pitch.
Actually won their last 3 in a row at Molineux in the Premier League, have Leeds. Most recently a 4-2 win here in March 2023. 4 different goal scorers that day as well for Leeds. Jack Harrison, who is still with Leeds, he's on the bench, he's been away on loan at Everton, he's back now. Luke Ayling, Rasmus Christensen and Rodrigo, those goal scorers for Leeds on that particular day, as Darlow, the goalkeeper, sent it upfield to Calvert-Lewin, took it on his chest, and with that a touchdown to Okafor, who spreads it to the right hand side for Aronson. Aronson's on the apex of the Leeds penalty area on the right, and then the delivery from Longstaff is overhit with his right foot and goes out of play for a goal kick.
Really good centre forward play from Calvert-Lewin. Leeds invited Wolves on. They wanted to create that gap between the midfield and the attacking line, and then Darlow just drops the ball nicely onto Calvert-Lewin's chest, chests it down, and then all of a sudden Leeds are in a really good position. So Wolves will probably have to look at shielding Calvert-Lewin, because that is a real strength of his, is using his frame and getting hold of that ball and bringing players into play.
When he signed Calvert-Lewin, Andy, Daniel Farke was saying this is our chance and his chance to revive his career. They were the words that Daniel Farke used, and it feels like he needs a bit of a revival.
Absolutely, and that goal today will do him no end of good.
Here he is again, Calvert-Lewin, giving it to Brendan Aronson from the halfway line. Leeds are moving swiftly up to the edge of Wolves' penalty area. Back to Calvert-Lewin. Was there a nudge in his back? There was, and it was right in the eye line of Anthony Taylor, who was perfectly positioned. He was about 3 or 4 yards behind that challenge, and it's going to be a Leeds free kick, probably about 3, maybe 4 yards outside the Wolves penalty area, and pretty much dead central as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. I think he's got his body in between Bellegarde, I think it might be, or Krejci. He's got his ball. He's got his body in between Krejci and the ball. He just barges him in his back. I think it's a naive free kick to give away, and it's in a dangerous area.
I said it was about 3 or 4 yards. It may be more like 7 or 8, but nevertheless it's in a very good position.
Yeah, I think the referee has probably done Leeds a little bit of a disservice here, and I think that this is what the Leeds players are all surrounding Anthony Taylor, and that's what they're saying. Anthony Taylor's brought it back there. I actually think it was 3, maybe 4 yards further than where Anthony Taylor has actually placed it.
And there's quite a few candidates in white who are thinking they could test Jose Sarr from here. Goodmanson is there, the left back. Bogle's walked away. The other potential set piece taker here is Anton Stack, who is the one who's actually repositioning the ball right now, the Leeds midfielder, with the wrapping, the white bandaging around both of his wrists, Anton Stack, and he's put his hands on his hips, and Goodmanson is still there as well. So they've got options with the right or the left here to keep Jose Sarr guessing. Wolves are still trying to get their wall in order. Gillingham have scored at Newport, so they've come from behind to lead Gillingham by 2-1, as Anthony Taylor is just checking that Wolves wall is in position, which consists of 5 players that Jose Sarr is trying to organise. The Wolves goalkeeper is stood right over by his right post at the moment, as he's making sure he's got all his angles that he wants covered in position. Wolves have got that player lying down as well, the draft excluder behind the wall too, just in case Leeds tries something crafty here. 1-1 is the scoreline. Wolves led, remember, through Krejci's goal. Calvert-Lewin's provided the equaliser, and eventually I think Leeds are going to get the go-ahead to take this free kick, which is 7 yards outside Wolves penalty area. It's Stack with his right foot. Oh, what a goal! What a brilliant goal from Anton Stack! How about that for an introduction to Premier League football? The former Hoffenheim midfielder has just scored a beauty with his right foot, up and over the wall, fast, far too quick for Jose Sarr, into his top left-hand corner, and Wolves, from a position of prominence, are now behind in this game. Wolves 1, Leeds 2.
Wow, what a goal. Get on Match of the Day tonight and see this. It's as good a free kick as you're going to see. You're wondering whether he's going to whip it over the wall into that far corner. He doesn't do that. He keeps it the same side. He starts it just outside the post and whips it just back into that top corner and gives Sarr no chance whatsoever. That is an absolutely brilliant free kick. The power, the precision, the accuracy that he's got there is incredible. What a goal.
And the fact, Andy, that Jose Sarr had full sight of that as well, and it still felt like he just couldn't get near it.
Well, what the keepers want to do is they get the wall to cover one side of the goal, and the keepers cover the other side of the goal. He'll be very disappointed, I'm sure, because he never want one to go in on the goalkeeper's side. But that's what Stack's done. He's decided not to whip it over the wall. He's decided to keep it the keeper's side. But it was the pace and the accuracy that's done Sarr there. And again, you probably have to say it's no more than Leeds deserve. They've been pretty dominant throughout this game, and now I'm interested to see what the atmosphere turns like in the ground. Are the crowd going to stick with the players, or are they going to start getting on the back?
The one thing I have noticed in that Stan Cullis stand over to our left hand side, there's quite a few all of a sudden old gold seats that have become quite visible, as they are actually, as you're pointing out, Andy, in some of the other stands around us as well. The Steve Bull opposite us, the Sir Jack Hayward over towards our right.
Yeah, they've gone early to get the beverages.
They have, and we've still got 5 minutes of the first half to play, just under, and that stoppage time. In comes the Wolves free kick, and the header is over the top of the crossbar. There were one or two Wolves shouts for a potential corner there. I think Yerson Mosquera was the one who was leading the claims, having got his head on the ball, but goal kick is the decision. So the scoreline, Wolves 1, Leeds 2. Let me just bring you up to date with what's happened elsewhere while we were talking about that brilliant Stack free kick. Crystal Palace have scored at West Ham. Jean-Philippe Mateta has got another for the season and has heaped yet more pressure on Graham Potter in that London derby this afternoon. Cheltenham Town 0, Oldham Athletic 1 is the latest score. Bromley 1, Chesterfield 1. That's an equaliser for Chesterfield. And Norwich have scored against Wrexham. Norwich 1, Wrexham 0, and Bristol Rovers have just got themselves in front at Colchester United 2. So a lot going on this afternoon. We'll keep you updated with everything. Brighton Spurs right now over on 5 Live with the usual full goal service, as well as a ball forward from Wolves, and their centre back Emmanuel Agbadou runs all the way through to Carl Darlow, and Leeds United with a goal from Calvert-Lewin and a brilliant one from Stack, and those two combining here as well. Calvert-Lewin's chest down towards Stack, out to the left hand side for Okafor. Agbadou was a bit too strong for the Swiss on that occasion, but at the moment Wolves are just struggling to look after the ball, and Leeds look certainly the more fluent.
Yeah, you know what, they look more organised, and they look more kind of attuned to the game plan that they've got going on. You could see there that Leeds that time, they brought down low onto the pitch, they brought down Longstaff and Ampadu, but they never really wanted to play. They knew Darlow was going to miss out that midfield, play it into Calvert-Lewin's chest, and then Stack was going to make the run off him, and it worked brilliantly. And then you get the ball to Okafor, you get Wolves back on the back foot, and you get them having to defend, and it becomes really difficult for them. And I think Leeds have played really well in this game. I must say, I think they played some really good football, but I also think that Wolves are far too passive in this game of football. There's hardly been any tackles being put in. They don't look like they want to press and really get after the ball. It's been good from Leeds, but it's been easy for them as well. And
I think the concern for Vitor Pereira will be 4 goals conceded here at home to Manchester City, 3 against Everton, and now 2 already before half time at home to Leeds United. And Wolverhampton Wanderers, no points from their first 4 games so far in the Premier League. Richarlison scored for Spurs at Brighton, so that's Brighton 2, Tottenham 1 now at the Amex Stadium. Here is Krejci for Wolves, their goal scorer, on this near left hand side as Wolves work the ball back in field just inside Leeds United's half. We're into the final 80 seconds of the first half as Fer Lopez spins on the right, plays it into the box of Wolves. Bellegarde with the layoff, João Gomez is hit. Darlow had already dived over towards his left hand side, but the shot was deviated away from his goal, and it goes out of play for a Wolves throw. They want to take it quickly, but Anthony Taylor's just blowing his whistle to make sure that ball didn't strike her hands when João Gomez hit it.
Yeah, I think it'd be unlucky if it did, to be honest with you. It looked like decent enough defending.
It's quickly been dismissed. Stuart Atwell's today's VAR would have been in Anthony Taylor's ear there, just to let him know there's nothing more to look at. So Wolves with the throw, searching for an equaliser before half-time, having led, and now they find themselves behind as Totti's throw is helped on by Agbadou and flicked towards goal by Orokodare. Just didn't have the power to trouble Darlow, who was relatively serene as he moved to claim it to his left.
Yeah, I do think on a day like today, them long throws, you get them in. I know probably slipped out of his hands and he didn't maybe get the distance on he want, but Wolves managed to make something out of it. They can be very, very difficult to defend. I think it's a trend that if you can get right in football.
Oh, Agbadou's given the ball away, he's given it straight to Stack. Stack's pushing into the box. Okafor for Leeds. It's another one for Leeds United. Wolves are falling apart in the first half at Molineux again, and Leeds have a trio of fresh goal scorers on this afternoon in the West Midlands. It's now Noah Okafor with his first for Leeds, to go with the ones from Calvert-Lewin and from Stack, and Leeds suddenly heaping massive pressure on Vitor Pereira and Wolves. The scoreline before half-time is Wolves 1, Leeds 3.
Agbadou's tried to punch a ball through the lines there. He's tried to be positive with his pass and didn't look like it was on by any stretch. Good interception. Ball then gets played really quickly to Okafor, who goes 1v1. He's confident in his ability, goes outside on his left foot, and he buries it in that bottom corner, and it's a really, really good finish. Takes it with his left foot, finds that far corner, gives San no chance. Great way to pass from Stack. There was no need for Okafor to take a pass, and that's an excellent, excellent goal.
And right now, as you can imagine, all the noise is coming from the Leeds United away support in the lower tier of the Steve Bull stand. And those vacant seats we mentioned in Molineux about people going down to the concourse to have a discussion. Well, there's a heck of a lot more now as we move into first half stoppage time. Wolves are in big trouble here. 3-1 down at home. Here's Krejci as his attempts to play the ball into the box is blocked. It comes to Agbadou. More on him in a moment, by the way, as he plays a little 1-2. Okafor goes with him, makes the challenge. He's had to play for a corner. Emmanuel Agbadou, brilliant last season for Wolves, and he was an absolute revelation when he came in. Has massively struggled in the first few weeks of this new Premier League season.
Yeah, he looks low in confidence. He's not really reading the flight of the ball. He's getting into some awkward positions. And it's been a tough afternoon so far for him.
Wolves have got a corner in first half stoppage time. In it goes, headed away by Longstaff, I think it was, who was in there. Sent back in again by Rodrigo Gomez, and the header which is held by Carl Darlow, who will be in no hurry at all to send this ball upfield, with Leeds United in a prominent position. And we're seeing a shot of Vitor Pereira, who is shaking his head over and over again. The Wolves head coach sat down in his technical area with his little notepad.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, it feels like a long time ago from that Wolves goal. It really does. And even when the goal came, I wouldn't say they fully deserved it in the flow of the game. I think Leeds, from probably the first 10 minutes, have been so dominant.
Here comes Bellegarde for Wolves. They really do need a lift before half time, but he was almost losing his balance as he has it taken away from him. Then Bogle's run into a bit of traffic. João Gomez gets it back for Wolves in midfield, and he gives it to Totti, who helps it on towards Agbadou, and out to the right hand side for Jackson Chachua. His cross is just over the head of Yerson Mosquera, but it's come through Rodrigo Gomez at the back post, with almost like he was caught, Andy Reid, between having a shot and sending it back in, and in the end it was neither. Yeah,
I think that's exactly what it was. It set up a little bit awkwardly. It probably wasn't the right time to cross it or to have a shoot, whichever one he decided to do, and he ended up doing neither. Maybe would have been better getting the ball under control and taking on the 1v1 duel.
I think that might just about be it for the first half. Referee Anthony Taylor just having a look at his watch. 3 minutes of stoppage time was indicated. Notts County have scored against Crawley on the stroke of half time, so they leave 1-0. Gillingham are 3-1 up at Newport County, but listen to those Molineux boos at half time here. Wolverhampton Wanderers have conceded 10 goals in 2.5 home games so far this season, and the side who are winless and pointless at the bottom of the Premier League table, led through Ladislav Krejci's goal, but have since found themselves on the end of a Calvert-Lewin header, a brilliant free kick from Anton Stack, and a third from Noah Okafor, sharply shooting into the bottom corner. And Andy Reid, these are worrying Wolverhampton Wanderers times.
Yeah, very much so. For me, the key to this is there's been a lack of urgency. There's been a lack of tackles, a lack of competitiveness. I understand that maybe in the Premier League it's difficult for this Wolves team to press teams high up the pitch, although I do think they could get after Leeds a little bit more. But even when they sit in that mid to low block and Leeds have the possession, you then need to go and put pressure on the ball when it comes into them central areas. It's just been too easy for Leeds to play through the lines, to get Okafor on the ball, to get Aronson on the ball. I think it's been too easy for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get hold of the ball and chest it down, and really bring them other Leeds players into play. You've got a back three that are going up against Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and none of them are really getting tied to him. None of them are making it difficult for him. I don't think you need three there against one anyway, and that's why part of the reason why Leeds are able to dominate the middle of the pitch.
And how interesting is this as well, Andy? Vitor Pereira, the Wolves head coach, is still sat in his dugout with a little cohort of backroom staff. There's 5 of them in all, and everybody's chipping in and giving an opinion, and Vitor Pereira is scribbling a few things down on his white notepad, and now they've all stood up and they're going to make their way to the tunnel. And Vitor Pereira's face tells a story.
Yeah, it does. Look, I'm not a massive fan of kind of sitting on the bench and kind of doing your work there. Like, I don't think that was necessary. If he's going to make changes, no problem. And I don't think there's probably anybody on the Wolves team, if they did get taken off, could have too many complaints. So we won't have any problem with making any changes at all. But I don't think they need to sit and kind of convene on the bench. Get yourself up the tunnel. chat with your coaching staff up the tunnel, out of the way, only kind of waving their arms about and understand they're going to be disappointed. Come on, be really on it here. There's a time when that team are going to really need the manager and the coaching staff. So hanging around out in the dugout where everybody can see, it's like airing your dirty laundry in public kind of thing, and I just think it's a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, and I know that lots of neutrals will be saying, yeah, Wolves is very much the story here, but there'll be lots of Leeds United fans listening, so let's just have a quick word on them, because despite that, we said at 1-0 down, they still looked like the better side. The fact that they've asserted their dominance in this game, and they've been ruthless, which at times they've not been able to do this season.
Okay, so we for 10 minutes of the game, there was nothing much going on. It was, neither side really had any dominance, and then Leeds then start to really put more pressure on Wolves, and they were playing really well, getting in some nice pockets, building the play really well. When Wolves did kind of come out a little bit, which they didn't all the time, when they did come out a little bit, they found Calvert-Lewin really well. Wolves went up and out of nothing really get a goal, but Leeds were still playing well. From the time then that Wolves goal went in, it's just been complete domination. They've dominated the play, dominated territory. I haven't got anything to say what the possession is, but I would imagine it would probably be at least 60, maybe even 65% that Leeds have had. They've dominated it, and they've looked really dangerous at times. So them Leeds fans over there on that far side, they will be delighted with what they've seen. Now, goals are the ones that are the important things, we know that, but even when they were 1-0 down, they didn't come away from the game plan. They still looked like they had a clear identity, a clear way that they want to play, and they had tactics that were hurting Wolves time and time again, and that progressed throughout the half. And then they go and get the goals from it, and got some brilliant goals, by the way. The Calvert-Lewin header was excellent, Okafor's goal was brilliant, and Stack's free kick, that was magnificent, really was magnificent. So I know we've spoken about Wolves quite a bit on that. I do not want to take anything away from that Leeds performance in the first half. It was excellent from start to finish. The only blot in the copybook was the goal that they conceded.
Yeah, match of the day, 10:30 tonight, BBC One, to see that fabulous trio of Leeds United goals. Elsewhere in the Premier League, all of these half-times: Brighton 2, Spurs 1, Burnley 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and West Ham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Manchester United against Chelsea from 5:30 is live on 5 Live, and that's where we're going now to join Chappers in the team to bring you the story of everything else that's happened across the country in the first half over on 5 Live. Half-time here at Molineux, it's Wolves 1, Leeds 3.
Down to 10 in that game. Reading lead Leyton Orient by 1-0. They've lost 2 out of 3 at home in the league this season, but they lead at the break thanks to Jack Marriott's goal. It's goalless between Rotherham and Stockport. Stevenage 1, Exeter 1. Josh McGuinness equalising for Exeter. That's his 4th of the season. And Wycombe, who changed their manager this week, they sacked Mike Dodds. They brought in Michael Duff. It's working so far at the break. They lead Northampton by 1-0. In League 2 earlier, Cambridge 2, Fleetwood 1, Harrogate 2, Shrewsbury 0. We're at Salford Swindon. This is third against first at the start of the day. Mark Webber.
Salford 2, Swindon 0. Salford co-owner David Beckham has watched a feast of football this first half. George Grant's 4th-minute wonder striker, looping 25-yarder, found the top corner and got Becks on his feet. Kadeem Harris unmarked to slot home from outside of the left of the area. 11 minutes later, that made the second. But Swindon haven't been out of this. They forced 3 super saves from the Salford keeper. Aaron Drinnan's point-blank shot, probably the best of them. Salford 2, Swindon 0.
Elsewhere, Barnet, who haven't won at home in the league this season, lead Grimsby by 1-0 at the break. It's goalless between Barrow and Crewe. Bromley 1, Chesterfield 1. Michael Cheek's 4th of the season, giving the home side the lead there. Armando Dobra's 4th of the season, equalising for Paul Cook's side. Cheltenham 0. Oldham 1, Cheltenham bottom of the table, of course. Colchester 0, Bristol Rovers 1. Fabrizio Caven with his 4th of the season, giving Bristol Rovers the lead there. MK Dons 0, Accrington 1. Gillingham were behind at Newport early on, but they've turned it round to lead 3-1 at the break. 2 of those goals from Bradley Dack, 1 from the penalty spot. Notts County lead Crawley by 1-0, and Walsall lead Tranmere by 2-1. Evan Weir has got both the goals for Matt Sadler's side, and that is 3 for the season now for him. Just the one game in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon. Dundee lead Livingston by 1-0. That's because it's Scottish League Cup quarter-final weekend. St Mirren went through on penalties last night against Kilmarnock. Rangers Hibs is at 5:45. Aberdeen Motherwell has reached half-time. Gavin.
Yeah, Aberdeen 0, Motherwell 0, Mark. You'd have thought both teams had been right up for this, and the word goes. A trip to Hampden is at stake for a semi-final, but it took us a good 15-20 minutes to get started, though. Best chance for Aberdeen came 5 before the break. Max Canuster, it was a ball whipped in. He gets just on the 6-yard box and slams it off the bar. Motherwell with a great chance, but it stays 0-0.
Edrionians 0, Wraith 0 in the Scottish Championship. Arbroath 0, Morton 0. Next to bottom, Ross County 1, Queen's Park 1. In League 1, Alloa 2, Cove Rangers 0. East Fife 1, Montrose 1. Kelty Hearts 0, Hamilton 3. Queen of the South 0, Inverness 1. And Stenhouse Muir 1, Peterhead 1. In League 2, Clyde 1, Edinburgh City 1, East Kilbride 1, Dumbarton 0, Forfar 1, Annan 0, Spartans 0, Stirling 2. It's goalless between Stranraer and Elgin. Just back to England and the National League. Brackley Town 1, Sutton 0 was a result from lunchtime. Then half-time in the 3 o'clocks. Aldershot 1, Hartlepool 0. Altrincham 1, Carlisle 2, Boston 0, Boreham Wood 0, Eastleigh 1, Braintree 1, Gateshead 1, Halifax 1, Morecambe 3, Wealdstone 1, Scunthorpe 1, Truro 0, Tamworth 0, Yeovil 0, Woking 0, Forest Green Rovers 1, and York City and Solihull Moors are goalless. Let's go to the Women's Rugby Union World Cup semi-final, and it is tight, Maz Faruqi.
It is, and France have their first score, one they absolutely deserve after some real sustained pressure in England's 22. Nasira Condé with the try, but the conversion kick was put wide. So they played 26 minutes, and it's France 5, England 7.
Chaotic qualifying for tomorrow's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Ben Edwards.
Qualifying in Baku saw more red flag interruptions than F1 seen before. Wind and rain affected conditions. Lots of drivers made errors, but Max Verstappen delivered a perfect lap at the end to grab his first pole in Baku. Carlos Sainz second for Williams, but the McLaren Championship contenders had a tough time. Points leader Oscar Piastri crashed out and will start 9th, while Lando Norris touched a barrier and he'll be 7th on the grid. Both Ferraris had troubles as well. It's going to be an unpredictable race, but Max Verstappen could be on for back-to-back victories after winning in Monza.
Elsewhere, Great Britain knocked out of the Billie Jean King Cup at the semi-final stage by the USA, and Hampshire finished their innings in the one-day cup final, 45 overs. They faced 237 for 7 when Worcestershire bat. You can listen to that on Sports Extra 3 this afternoon. Dan Mosley has the news at 1 minute to 4.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
There are long queues to check in at Heathrow after computer problems struck a service provider, causing disruption to 3 European airports. The BBC understands that British Airways is operating as normal, using a backup system, but that most other airlines operating from Heathrow have been affected. An elderly British couple released by the Taliban authorities after almost 8 months in detention in Afghanistan have arrived back in the UK. Peter and Barbie Reynolds arrived on a flight from the Qatari capital Doha, where they'd stayed for medical checks following their release yesterday. A 32-year-old man's been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after 4 people were injured in a shooting at a nightclub in Birmingham this morning. West Midlands police say 1 man remains in hospital in a critical condition. 3 women in their 20s and 30s remain in custody on suspicion of violent disorder in connection with the incident. And Sinn Féin say they won't be fielding a candidate to be the next president of Ireland. Instead, the party leader, Mary Lou McDonald, says it will back the independent candidate, Catherine Connolly. The Irish presidential election will take place next month.
Radio 1
Dance. Your destination
for non-stop dance.
with huge DJ sets
and massive dance bangers.
In their mix. All day,
Every day.
And you just don't stop.
24/7 dance energy.
on Radio 1 Dance.
Listen on your smart speaker
On BBC Sounds.
and now
On DAB+.
This is 5 Live Sports with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Ryan Gravenberch and Hugo Ekitike got the Liverpool goals as they beat Everton 2-1 at Anfield at lunchtime. Idrissa Gana Gueye pulling one back for David Moyes' side. Here is the Everton boss.
We were much closer. Our performance in the second half was warranted to get something, certainly to win that half of the game anyway. But we'd just given them a bit too much in the first half. The second goal was a killer for us. There was a tackle on Ellie, which meant that he got freed up for the first goal. Let Kerkez run through and start to build it where we lost the first goal from.
Did you feel that was a foul?
Well, I've not seen it again. I couldn't really be sure. I need to see it, but I probably would have said at the time I didn't think it was a foul. But there was a lot of other things I could have said during the game, but I'll not if you don't mind. But anyway, look, boys done a decent job and never gave up. Showed a great deal of resilience.
I can't remember very often a free kick being taken before the referee's blown his whistle. I certainly can't remember someone getting booked for it.
Yeah, no, we can't either. But I think the bigger thing is the game seemed to be controlled totally by the referee. We couldn't start anything quick. We couldn't play. I've played plenty of games recently where teams have taken quick free kicks and it's not been the referee's whistle. So he never allowed us to get the game underway fast when we wanted to. I found it strange that it was only 3 minutes. I think if Liverpool were 2-1 down, I should say, not sure if 3 minutes would have been put up.
David Moyes, you can see extended highlights and all the analysis. Match of the day, 10:30 tonight on BBC One. Kelly will have Wayne Rooney and Danny Murphy alongside her. England have gone over in Bristol in the Rugby Union World Cup semi-final, but the TMO is looking at this because there's been about 8 ricochets in the build-up to this try, so good luck trying to work this out for them, Maz.
Well, exactly. That's why the TMO is taking so many looks at it, I think, and the referee as well. Tatiana Hurd did touch down under the posts, but it's come off her left hand at some point. It's come off a French defender as well, and you just might have heard there behind me the referee's mic. No try, Stowe. It's still France 5, England 7.
In the Premier League then, in the half-times as they all get ready to get underway in the second half, there are some results which might have some half-time scores that could have some big bearings on certain people's future, particularly at West Ham, where Graham Potter's side trail Crystal Palace by 1-0. Leeds have had a very good first half. They went 1-0 down at Molineux, but came back to lead 3-1 at the break. Burnley and Nottingham Forest are level at 1-1. And you would say at the Amex as well, it is all to play for here. Brighton 2, Tottenham 1 with Michael Brown and Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome back, everyone, to the Amex Stadium under grey skies this afternoon. A little bit of light rain before kick-off, but that has disappeared. Brighton leading 2-1. And making a change at half-time, Michael Brown, it's not necessarily like for like either, is it? It's Diego Gomez, the Paraguayan, coming on for Carlos Baleba in midfield. Baleba didn't start the last game, did start today, has played 45 minutes today. There was lots of talk about him and a potential move in the summer, wasn't there? And I was chatting to a couple of Brighton fans before this game and was having the conversation with them about whether he's been able to fully focus on his football again for Brighton, whether that's played a part in this.
I think that's always difficult, isn't it? Do you know, when you have an attention from other places, but generally the best players find a way just to produce week in, week out.
Welcome back to Molineux. If you want to continue listening to that Brighton Spurs game, you can do over on 5 Live, but we are here on 5 Live Sports Extra 2 via BBC Sounds with a scoreline which is going to have a bit of a ripple across the Premier League today, and certainly this is one of the tales so far of this Premier League afternoon. With the scoreline here, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Leeds United 3, and that's despite Wolves taking the lead through Ladislav Krejci. Just keeping my eye on what looks like a trio actually of Wolves changes, because coming on are Hugo Bueno, Marshall Manetzi and the returning Jurgen Strand Larsen, Andy Reid, who signed a new deal this week but obviously has missed the last couple of games with an Achilles injury.
Yeah, they most definitely need him. We know that he's a talented player. He's been a focal point for them. There's a lot of clubs chasing him. Looked like at one point he was going to go to Newcastle. He hasn't done that. He signed a new contract, and boy, do they need him now.
Yeah, so it appears that it's Rodrigo Gomez, Jean-Rick Bellegarde and Fer Lopez who have come off for Wolves. So I think they might maybe tinker things in terms of the tactics here as well, Vitor Pereira. So I'll get Andy to keep a check on that as we get underway in the second half, with Wolves with that trio of changes going from left to right. I'll give you the teams in just a moment, and immediately giving away a free kick which Ethan Ampadu threatens to send forward quickly, but he was feigning, so Leeds are just going to wait, and certainly the the pleasant dressing room to have been in. Andy, at half-time would have been the one where Daniel Farke was talking.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds will be sat in the changing room at half-time, and they'll be thinking to themselves, oh, this has been pretty easy, really. Other than the goal they conceded, they were dominant. So there's a big reaction needed from Wolves now in this second half, that's for sure.
Yeah, ball down the right-hand side for Jackson Chachua. Cut out of play for a Wolves throw, which Agbadou takes, but it's almost back on the halfway line as he does so. Wolves 1, Leeds 3. So the teams for you: Sarr in goal for Wolves, Agbadou, Mosquera and Totti with Chachua, and now Hugo Bueno as the fullbacks or the wing-backs, and Joao Gomez, Ladislav Krejci with Marshall Manetzi and Jurgen Strand-Larsen, who have both come on, along with Tolo Orokodare, who started the game up front, who came in from Genk, the Nigerian international, for £23.4 million, but he's had a relatively quiet afternoon so far. Here comes a long throw for Wolves from Agbadou from the right, on by Orokodare, but it's a Leeds head who clear it away, and it was that of Anton Stack, who scored that brilliant free kick in the first half. Out to the left hand side, Hugo Bueno, the substitute, skips past his man, sends his cross in left footed, clipped off the head of Bogle for Leeds, but Wolves get it back again with Chachua, and it's back in by Totti. Strand-Larsen isn't going to jump because he knew that Carl Darlow, the goalkeeper, was coming, and the Leeds man claims it. Wolves 1, Leeds 3. Any tinkering, you think, with the system here for Wolves?
Yeah, well, it looks like it's going to be a front two, so it's kind of more of a conventional 3-5-2 by the looks of it. Orokodare and Strand-Larsen up top, two big boys, two physical boys, so straight away you've got an extra body higher up the pitch. Behind that you'll have a midfield three. You've got your wing backs obviously, and you've got your back three still. I'm not too sure. Look, we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. You're just trying to figure out what all the changes are and what it's going to look like. I still have my reservations about whether you need a back three against one centre forward, because the problem that Wolves have had is Okafor and Aronson have come into them little pockets, and the centre backs haven't gone in tight against them. So you've had a 3v1, and then Leeds have been able to dominate in midfield.
Vitor Pereira has still been madly scribbling on that white notepad in his technical error at the start of this second half as his team give the ball away, but Leeds are unable to capitalise. Stack trying to push it through for Okafor, didn't get enough purchase on the pass. The sun is just beginning to threaten to come out here. We have very dark clouds overhead at Molineux at kickoff and lots of rain, but haven't had any rain for a while, and actually it's brightened up a little bit, but the situation has not brightened up for Wolves, though it has for West Ham, who have equalised against Crystal Palace at the start of the second half. Jared Bowen has got the leveller for Graham Potter's side as Jurgen Strand-Larsen makes his presence felt. He jumped on the halfway line, he didn't get a touch on the ball, it bounced all the way through, and then Strout gets it back for Leeds, and it's out of play from Joao Gomez, the little Wolves midfielder, for a Leeds throw on this near left hand side. No changes for them at half time, so they look like this: Darlow in goal, Bogle, Rodon, Strauch and Goodmanson, and then Longstaff, Ampadu and Stack, with Aronson, Okafor and Calvert-Lewin providing the Leeds forward line. Stack, Calvert-Lewin and Okafor with the 3 goals, and all of them scoring their very first goals for Leeds United this afternoon as well.
Yeah, they were 3 very good goals as well, I have to say. Really well taken goals, good football involved in them, and then obviously the free kick was magnificent. It really was. The way he struck it, accuracy, power, gave the keeper no chance.
Strauch cutting out a long ball forward for Jurgen Strand-Larsen, one back by Agbadou, 15 yards inside his own half, who was very much culpable for the third Leeds goal as his pass out was cut out, and Leeds broke through Stack and then on to Okafor, who finished very smartly indeed. As Leeds on the retreat again here, will spread it out to that left hand side for Hugo Bueno. 3-1 Leeds lead as the back heel from Krejci isn't returned to Bueno, and Bogle's got the throw, managing to clear the ball out off Bueno.
I think Leeds probably, although they played really well in the first half, I think they need to be careful that they, just sensing the start of this second half, it's probably a natural thing that they've dropped off a little bit deeper, that Wolves are putting a little bit more pressure and playing a bit higher up the pitch, but they need to not get complacent. because one goal completely changes the complexion. You get one goal here, this crowd start to get engaged again, and all of a sudden then you start to drop, and it could become a difficult afternoon. So Leeds need to make sure that they stay on it, they stay aggressive, they continue to do what they've done in the first half.
Second goal for Sheffield Wednesday at Portsmouth this afternoon. Sheffield Wednesday began the day in the bottom three in the Championship. George Brown has scored to make it 2-0 to the visitors, and Wrexham have equalised at Norwich City. Josh Windass has scored. Here is Chachua for Wolves down the right hand side. His cross is cut out by Goodmanson, who's actually done a good job in dealing with the pacey Wolves right wing back. It is a corner.
Yeah, I have to say I do like Goodmanson. I've seen him a bit at Lille, and really like. And when Leeds signed him, I thought, well, that's a good cue, because I know a few clubs did look at him, and Leeds were the ones that kind of pulled the trigger on that, and they didn't spend too much on him. I was surprised at the price as well.
Wolves corner, 3-1 the scoreline to Leeds. Hugo Bueno's going to take it over towards our right hand side. It's up towards that far post. The header back across goal and then tips over the top. It's an excellent stop actually by goalkeeper Darlow. It was at a nice height for him. It was central, and even though Wolves think they're going to get a corner, referee Anthony Taylor has seen an infringement, maybe Menezes penalised. It's actually a Leeds free kick.
So what's happened there, they've looked to go to the back post, and there's a block at the back post, so I think it's Menezes, I think, was just blocking one of the Leeds defenders, stopping him getting out. I think it was Longstaff maybe that he was stopping getting out, or it could have even been Roden. I couldn't quite see which one it was, but there was a block and the ball went to that back post. There was a free header there, but the referee seen the block, and he's given the free kick out.
A third goal for Bradford City at Cardiff. What a start to League One they are having after promotion last season. Leyton Orient have equalised at Reading in League One as well, and Doncaster Rovers 1-0 up against AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah, Graham Alexander's done a great job there. That's incredible result, that, because Cardiff have been going good, really good guns. Yeah,
they were the top two teams at the start of the day in League One, as Agbadou goes back to goalkeeper Jose Sarr. Probably worth mentioning now that Wolves already were in a position where they'd never lost 4 games at the start of a season before, not just in the Premier League, at any point in their 127-year history. And there are only 5 teams in Premier League history who have lost their first 5 games. Southampton, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Crystal Palace, and most recently Norwich in 2021.
Did any of them teams stay up?
That is a very good question. I will look into that for you, Andy, but I might have to look into it for you after the commentary, which isn't too much help for those who are listening, because it is just me and you here today. Here is Chachua. No, he's going to leave that actually for Joao Gomez, who I think thought Jackson Chachua continued running behind him, but he'd stopped, and then Joao Gomez tried the back heel, but his teammate wasn't there, so Leeds retrieve it in midfield with Anton Stack, and then Joao Gomez racing to get back into position, pushes him in the back. Leeds free kick.
Yeah, I think Wolves have started the second half okay. First 8-9 minutes of the second half they've been okay. They've had a little bit more possession. I think Leeds are probably happy enough for them maybe to have a little bit more, and it's more of a conventional 3-5-2 with Monetti in a 10 position. You've got 2 centre forwards there in Strand Larsen and Arokadare. So it is probably it gives them an opportunity to get an extra body higher up the pitch and maybe get a bit more of a foothold in the game.
Just on that stat, Andy, the one thing I can say is that last season Everton lost their first 4 Premier League games, and of course they did survive. Southampton lost their first 4 and they didn't. Here are Leeds United 3-1 up here at Molineux, moving at pace down the left with Okafor, but actually off the ball. Wolves have been given a free kick here. Ampadu is penalised for hanging on to Yerson Mosquera. He's appealing against it. I mean, he didn't need to do it. That's the point if he did.
Yeah, I mean, what I would have done is just I would have just left Okafor to go 1v1. I didn't even think you need to make the run, to be honest with you, because with the form he's been in today, leaving him 1v1, and you've got a really good opportunity there. So bit of a silly one there.
Here is Totti, who's managed to somehow eke that ball out to the right hand side for Agbadou. What a brilliant cross. Okadare down, Menezes on the hit, saved by Darlow. It was right at him. The half volley from Marshall Menezes, the substitute. Darlow did get quickly down to his left hand side, but I don't think it was far enough across into the corner to trouble him.
No, but it was really good play from Wolves, and it's a really good ball into the box from Chachua. Orokadare's peeled off and he's in between the full-back and the centre-back, and he goes, I think he goes to head it towards goal, if I'm being honest with you, but it just comes straight back to Monetsi.
And now Molineux with the volume increasing again as Wolves come forward. Chachua, deep delivery, too deep for all, including Orokadare, who was at the back post. And now the left wing back's got it on the opposite side. It's Hugo Bueno trying to bounce between two, tumbles. Anthony Taylor shakes a finger at him, a waggle from the referee, and Marshall Monetsi coming in, as was Mosquera, and actually it's Mosquera who's given away the free kick here.
But again, what you're seeing there, so that ball comes into Calvert-Lewin, okay, you've got Totti, you've got Mosquera, and you've got Agbadou, and the three of them are up against one. So it's like, I don't understand. I don't see the need for them to have them three centre backs there. They need to push somebody in to go tight on one of them midfielders, or when that ball pops out to them, can they advance into that kind of in-between zone?
This is Noah Okafor, who was not being pulled over by Agbadou, according to the referee, and he's quite happy with that challenge as well between Rodon and Orokadare, and eventually does give Leeds United the free kick for a foul by Krejci, 15 yards inside Leeds half.
Yeah, I think, look, what I like from a Wolves perspective, at least we're seeing some tackles now in this second half. At least they're trying to get after the ball a little bit more. Anthony Taylor's had probably 4 or 5 decisions to make there in the last 2 or 3 minutes, which, you know, straight away from a Wolves, even a fan's perspective, you look and go, right, well, at least we're getting on the front foot, we're trying to get close to somebody, we're trying to put Leeds under a little bit of pressure.
11 minutes into the second half at Molineux, and Wolves without any points so far this season, trailing Leeds United by 3-1. The only win for Leeds so far this season against Everton on in their opener on that Monday night at Elland Road, that penalty from Lucas Mecha. And remember, of course, the narrative with Leeds had been prior to today that they hadn't scored a goal from open play all season, and yet they've got 2 from open play today, and that sensational free kick from Stack, and that's why they're leading by 3-1. We've got the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for you tomorrow in full on midday on 5 Live Sports Extra. And in terms of away from the football, Women's Rugby World Cup finals next week as well, which is definitely going to involve Canada, might involve England as well. Their semi-final against France is happening now. Here's Okafor for Leeds into the Wolves penalty area, cut back for Stack, his layoff, hit by Longstaff, was just a bit of a dribbler in the end towards Sarr.
Yeah, but it's brilliant play from Okafor again. They're really struggling to deal with him. They can't. They go tight with him and he spins them. They stand off him a little bit and he goes on the outside. He's been excellent today. He's a real threat, and he's going to be an asset for Leeds, and he's going to be one that they're going to need if they're going to make a good play at staying up this season.
I was hoping to bring you a few more scores. I can tell you that it is Salford City 2, Swindon 1, so the League 2 leaders have got one back in that top 3 clash, but I think the Wi-Fi is picking the wrong moment to be a bit troublesome this afternoon, but as soon as that's up and running again, hopefully we can bring you some more scores from across the country. But the one here that matters from a Leeds United perspective is that they are 3-1 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So Wolves are giving this much more of a fight in the second half since the introduction of Bueno and Munetsi and Jurgen Strand-Larsen as well. But of course they are going to leave themselves open potentially. Here's Aronson for Leeds, pushing it through for Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin's in. Calvert-Lewin was under pressure from Agbadou. Stack, I think, was wanting the ball to come his way in terms of a pass. And in the end, I think Calvert-Lewin's been penalised by Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's fouled or whether he's just drifted offside from that initial pass. No, he wasn't offside. He definitely wasn't offside, and I didn't see too much in that. But it was good play from Leeds again. Wolves are committed men forward, and instead of having at times one forward player in the first half, they've got 3 at the moment, which is leaving some gaps for Leeds. So in transition, it's going to be. There's going to be spaces there for Leeds to go and get another goal.
And Wolves, who are going from left to right in this second half in the old gold shirts, the black shorts, the old gold socks, shooting towards the Sir Jack Hayward stand over towards our right hand side. Here they come. Bueno's cross, Okaradare's header, and kept in by Chachua. His cross back into the penalty area towards Munetsi, who was beaten in the aerial challenge by Strauch, and then Okafor brilliantly skips away from a challenge inside his own half, then moves past Agbadou, who's almost tumbling at his feet. Calvert-Lewin through the middle, and Calvert-Lewin committing the foul with the pull on Mosquera. Free kick Wolves.
Yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin just didn't have the pace to really trouble Mosquera there. I think it was decent defending, and he ended up fouling him. I just wonder what Okafor, I mean, he's done absolutely brilliantly there, and he's turned away from the defender, he's broke into that space. I just wonder if he could have kept going. I don't know whether, I think he released the ball a little bit too early. Go, try and commit a defender before you then slip someone in, because Aronson was free on that far side as well, and he could have potentially used him a little bit further up the pitch. But he's great to watch. He's been electric today. He's been really good.
Yeah, and interestingly, Andy, actually when he signed, he said, I feel like my game is going to suit playing in the Premier League. Well, he's very much suited to this afternoon so far at Molineux. The Wi-Fi's working again. Wrexham have scored at Norwich City, so they've come from 1-0 down to lead by 2-1 at Carrow Road. Also in the Championship, Blackburn have gone 1-0 up against Ipswich, who are down to 10 men after Jacob Greaves sending off. Todd Cantwell's got the goal for the home team there, and Hull have doubled their lead against Southampton through John Lundstrom, so it's proving to be a very tricky start for Will still there. Into the penalty area comes the ball from Agbadou, and Strand Larsen on the stretcher. Wolves couldn't quite get there. He's got his hands on his head right now, the big Norwegian. He wasn't too far away. Goal kick Leeds.
That was a brilliant ball, really, really good. And you talk about putting that ball into the corridor of uncertainty, where you just whip it across that 6-yard box, and the keeper can't really come for it, and even if the defenders go for it, then they end up putting it into their own net. Really good ball.
And Yerson Mosquera has just given away a free kick here. He was in a tussle with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, both of them running down the channel. He felt that Calvert-Lewin had put a hand into his face, and then, almost out of anger, Andy, he's run towards Calvert-Lewin over by the touchline and has just pushed him in the back, and it's a free kick Leeds.
It's where you've got to control your emotions. Whether you think it's a free kick, whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin's put his hand in his face and thought it was a free kick, it doesn't really matter. The next action is the most important one, and he hasn't controlled his emotions. What you say to defenders there, don't put your hands on him. He's going nowhere. He's going away from goal. The touchline, you can use that as an extra defender, and he's just give away a cheap foul.
He only returned to the Wolves team last week after pretty much a year out, Yerson Mosquera, with that cruciate injury from last season. Here comes the Leeds free kick with the scoreline reading Wolves 1, Leeds 3, and Wolves were ahead in this game as well. Anton Stack has got one of those bandaged hands in the air, raises his right arm, swings it in right-footed, headed away by Orokadare to halfway inside Wolves' half, no further than that. Brandon Aronson, the American, collects it, and Leeds will try and rebuild with Ampadu, and they go back to Bogle.
Yeah, but look, there's no urgency for the Wolves players to kind of get after them, real opportunity to get after the ball, and they're not doing it. They're just standing off. It's passive.
Match of the day tonight, sorry, Andy.
I was just about to say, a little bit better from Onetsi there, but they need to go as a team.
Match of the day tonight, if you are a Leeds fan. I imagine if you're a Wolves fan, you might be giving that a swerve at 10:30 on BBC One, but maybe not. Maybe you want to analyse exactly where it's gone wrong, and it has gone wrong for Wolves today. Wayne Rooney and Danny Murphy will be, I no doubt, imagine picking through exactly where Wolves have fallen apart.
Yeah, but also what they'll be doing is picking out some really good performances from a Leeds perspective. Stack's been excellent, he's been really good. Okafor's been really good, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin starting to see maybe some of that form coming back that we know he can produce. He's led the line brilliantly well today, and he's got a goal.
Yeah, his first in the Premier League since January today from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as Bueno intercepts the Wolves on the halfway line, far left-hand side, going from left to right, Wolves, and they get a throw. Longstaff comes over, makes the interception. Actually won here with Newcastle United last season, Sean Longstaff. Here is Krejci, the Wolves goal scorer, midway inside Leeds half, out to the left for Bueno. Bueno's cross has come outside of the penalty area, though Okafor's touch has allowed Agbadou to pick it up. He struck it left-footed, it bobbles around inside the box, and then it's crashed away by Pascal Strauch, one of the two Leeds centre-halves. But Wolves will come again with Tossi with the number 24 on his back, the Wolves defender. His low left-footed ball in is an easy one for Rodon to clear, and then Calvert-Lewin, I don't know if he meant that, but that was a sublime touch to Stack if he did.
Yeah, if he meant it, that was incredible, but I'm not too sure whether he misjudged it or not. Maybe we're being a little bit harsh on him. The worry for me, if I was a Wolves fan and you look at the table, is that Leeds are going to be, I hope maybe I'm doing them a disservice here, but you would imagine that they will be there or thereabouts in the relegation mix this season. And yeah, they're going to go 7 points clear of Wolves if they win this game today. So, you know, Wolves really need to get back into this game.
And at the moment they don't have the ball because Aronson with his long hair has got it for Leeds, and he's played a 1-2 with Stack, and Krejci's run was good to go with him, and he slides across that slick Molineux surface to put it out of play for a Leeds throw over on the far right hand side. Wrexham have scored again at Norwich. They're now 3-1 up, and Josh Windass has got another one, and Crystal Palace are now leading at West Ham United by 2-1. And I should be able to tell you who scored the goal in a minute, because Andy very kindly is showing me that information on his own personal phone rather than on mine, because it's a bit stop-start, the technology today. Here's Stack for Leeds, won back well by Mosquera, the Wolves centre half. They don't hang on to it for long, as João Gomez gets not one but two boots in there, and Chachua in the middle of midfield tries to run away with it, ran into Longstaff. Wolves pick it up again with Agbadou, who sort of marauds forward and then tries to slip it in for Strand Larsen, and Goodmanson knew what was coming, makes the challenge, puts it behind for a corner. Tyreek Mitchell, the goal scorer for Crystal Palace, to put them back in front at West Ham. Corner to Wolves here, but Andy Reid, they need 2 goals at least to end this run of no points at the start of the new Premier League season.
Yeah, but look, there's still plenty of time left. There's 25 minutes plus injury time. If they get one, then the whole pressure then shifts on to Leeds.
Played 67 minutes. Bueno's corner in towards that near post, headed away by Anton Stack, and it's going to be lifted back in again by Chachua. Darlow's dropped it. I think he collided with his own player there, the Leeds goalkeeper. No whistle from the referee. This is Menezzi on the byline, and Joe Rodon pretty much on his knees as he heads it away out towards that right hand side. Then there's a foul on Aronson, and the pressure that Wolves were building has been relinquished because of that foul by Krejci.
Absolutely no need to do that. We've just seen one similar up here, where the defender's gone in on Calvert-Lewin, and it's a silly foul, and then you just see it again, and then you just see the same thing again. Aronson is going absolutely nowhere. He's facing his own goal. There's players all around him, and Krejci then just fouls him and takes all the pressure off Leeds. And you know, as a coach, manager, drives you absolutely crazy, stuff like that. It's
yeah, and I don't think Vitor Pereira needs too much more to drive him crazy today.
No, look, I've got no kind of allegiance to either of these clubs, but I'm frustrated. That frustrates me, kind of looking at that, you know.
Barnet have scored 2 very quick goals against Grimsby, so the scoreline's gone from 1-0 to 3-0, and I think we're going to see Jack Harrison very shortly for Leeds. He's arm in arm at the moment with his coach Daniel Farker down on the touchline, who is giving him some instructions as he prepares to come on here for Leeds, who through Goodmanson has got the ball up into midfield for Stack, who's got an awful lot of time, and he's pushed that pass ahead of Okafor, who's now on the edge of the penalty area on the left hand side. Okafor challenged by Chachua, and then the two of them fight for it shoulder to shoulder. The Wolves man who comes away with it, he goes up to Strand Larsen, who looked like he was having his shirt pulled. He was. Strout penalised. Free kick Wolves.
Yeah, Chachua's done really well there, because Okafor's been excellent today. You know, we've mentioned him so much. He's been positive with his play. He's tried to be positive there again. Stack's left him alone. He's left him to it, and and that's his last action of the game. He does look a little bit tired, but he's had an excellent afternoon.
He really has. He's given 70 minutes of immense hard work and has his first Leeds United goal, and Daniel Farker is leading the applause that's also coming from the Leeds United away end as well, and an embrace between him and his manager as the Swiss takes his place on the bench.
Yeah, I like him. I have to say, I like the style. I like the type of player that he is. He's positive. He wants to go on the front foot, and he wants to make things happen.
So Jack Harrison's on for him. Jack Harrison, who scored here for Everton last season, as Chachua crosses one into the penalty area. It bounces out to that left-hand side for Bueno, picked up by Agbadou, who's the centre half. He's not the most creative, and he's lost the ball here, but Leeds can't quite bring it away. Totti takes it back again for Wolves as the rain returns, and that light drizzle is getting a little heavier all of a sudden as the ball goes out to the left-hand side for Hugo Bueno. I think there's going to be some more Wolves changes imminent as well, as they look for the 2 goals they need to try and get themselves back into this game. Andy Reid is with us, former Premier League winger, former Irish international as well, as Agbadou again plays a ball in field just like he did in the first half, intercepted, but this time João Gomes gets it back for Wolves. That was a moment of relief for Agbadou. In it goes from João Gomes. It bounces initially off the head of a Leeds defender. I think it was Rodon in there, and now Orokadare trying to make his presence felt with a bouncing ball, scrambled away by Longstaff, only as far as Bueno on that far left-hand side. His cross in for Wolves. Mosquera's header. Darlow scampering across to his right-hand post to pluck it out.
Yeah, he's done well. The ball was behind him. There was decent pace on the ball, but it was behind him, so he had to backtrack a couple of steps, and he done well to get some pace. And with the rain coming down, you thought it might skid off the surface a little bit more than what it did.
First couple of touches for Jack Harrison, with his hair tightly tied back in a bun at the back of his head. It's like a mini man bun, isn't it, from Jack Harrison? It's not quite the full ticket.
I don't think I'd be able to grow one of them now at this stage.
I don't even think if we put our hair together we could pull that off. As the long ball forward from goalkeeper Darlow goes over the head of Calvert-Lewin, who was jumping with Agbadou, and then back to goalkeeper Jose Sarr from Jackson Chatchua. Sarr sends it high down the right-hand side and straight out of play, to the frustration of some of the Molineux crowd. Equaliser for AFC Wimbledon at Doncaster Rovers. So 1-1 there. Notts County have got a second against Crawley, so they're now leading by 2-0. And here come the latest double Wolves change. We're going to see John Arias, their £15 million signing from Fluminense, who really impressed during the FIFA Club World Cup during the summer, and also Andre, who was one of the 4 changes that Vitor Pereira made after that defeat at Newcastle last week.
Yeah, we're seeing Totti coming off by the looks of it, and you would imagine that they're going to go to a back 4, get that extra man a little bit further up the pitch, whether that's into midfield, and then you bump them further up. They need to get more bodies in and around the box, and in my opinion, it probably should have been done a little bit earlier than this, and I think they could have been more aggressive when they had 3 centre-backs on the pitch.
He's actually taken Totti and Mosquera off, so 2 of his 3 centre-backs have come off, and it looks like Ladislav Krejci has gone and slotted in there, which is ultimately his natural position, Ladislav Krejci, so that's not an unfamiliar role to him back there. But yeah, it really is a proper throw of the dice, which he kind of has to do now, Vitor Pereira. We're into the final 16 minutes.
Yeah, I understand, you kind of throw caution to the wind now at this stage. I understand that, but I'm just thinking about the game overall in general. I just think they were too cautious in the early part of the game with their positioning and where they were, and with their aggression to be on the front foot. I'm not saying that they need to play open, expansive, and leave loads of gaps in between the units, but I still believe that they could.
Here's Chatchua on the edge of the penalty area. He's left it. The shot from João Gomes, and it deflects up, and it's a nice deflection for Darlow because he took it at chest height, the Leeds goalkeeper.
He just didn't connect with it, did he? There was some really good play. It was probably more bundling through, and a couple of slide tackles that got missed by Leeds players. It comes to João Gomes, and you just think he's going to maybe curl it into that near corner, and he tries to whip it over to the far side. It was a good block, in all fairness, I have to say. Longstaff has done really, really well to get himself back in there and make that block.
Wycombe 2, Northampton Town 0 in League One. Hull City have got a third against Southampton in the Championship. Ollie McBurney with the latest for them, so they're now leading by 3-0. And Accrington Stanley are 2-1 up against MK Dons in League 2. You can listen to Brighton against Spurs over on 5 Live right now. Brighton is still 2-1 up against Tottenham Hotspur. We've got Manchester United against Chelsea to come from 5:30 tonight, and there's another Premier League game that's taking place at 8 o'clock, Fulham against Brentford. We'll have updates from Craven Cottage later as well on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. The rain is increasing in tempo. Wolves cannot find the tempo in their game to get these 2 goals that they need right now. Wolves 1, Leeds United 3 here on 5 Live Sports Extra, as they get a throw, the home team over on that far left-hand side, which Bueno takes, and it goes all the way back to Ladislav Krejci, so they can rebuild again. The last Wolves Premier League win came at the end of April when they beat Leicester City here by 3-0. If they don't win today, it's going to be 9 without a win going back to last season, and ultimately 5 games at the start of this new campaign where Wolves are still going to be without a point in the Premier League, so they are going to stay bottom today. Here is Stack down the left-hand side for Leeds. The movement being made by Gudmundsson. Gudmundsson through the legs of Agbadou into the penalty area, cuts it back, can't get it to Calvert-Lewin. It took a deflection, the pullback, and it was just agonisingly out of the reach of the former Everton striker.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move by Leeds on this left-hand side, and Stack and Gudmundsson combined brilliantly well. Gudmundsson done great. When he got into that kind of assist zone, he just gave it that bit close to the 6-yard box, and he just couldn't pick out Dominic Calvert-Lewin with the cutback, and he ended up playing it in between the keeper and the centre forward there. So great opportunity for Leeds though to finish this game off completely.
And he's spare a thought for those supporters over towards our right hand side, Wolves fans, who are in that what has been an addition to this stadium between the Sir Jack Hayward stand and the Billy Wright stand that we're in. It's probably about 300 or so seats, but they are completely exposed. There's no roof on there, and pretty much all of them are obviously wearing club issued cagoules. Here's Arias for Wolves into the box, tried to find Strand Larsen. More very good Leeds defending.
Yeah, really good defending there, and then they break really well, but they don't need to overcommit now at this point. You know, there's 15, 16 minutes left, and they don't need to go over commit. They're in control of this game.
You wouldn't want to be in that stand right now, would you?
No, absolutely not, mate. Absolutely not. Although I like that the club are are kitting them out with them ponchos.
They're not quite old gold ponchos, are they? They're almost like a vanilla colour, which I think one or two Wolves fans might be the way they described his performance today. Is Bueno with the back heel, the cross from the left, the header from Strand Larsen, difficult one for the Norwegian, can only guide it about 6 yards wide of Darlow's right hand post.
There hasn't been enough guile, there hasn't been enough kind of creativity. You know, you're looking at players kind of come into pockets and play and get on the ball and turn and, you know, combine centrally, combine in the wide areas, get into some really good crossing areas, and we haven't really seen that. It's more, I think the danger that they posed in the second half has kind of more been, you know, brute force, I suppose. You've got Strand Larsen and Arakadari up top, and they're two big lads, and it's just been, you know, get it in there and kind of see what they can produce, see if they can, with their size and physicality. There hasn't been enough creativity and enough guile in this Wolves performance for me.
And talking of size and physicality, we've got live NFL for you tomorrow night on 5 Live. The Dallas Cowboys taking on Chicago Bears, so that will be available to listen from 9 o'clock and available on BBC Sounds as always. Remember, if you haven't downloaded the BBC Sounds app, it is well worth you doing. You can listen back to all the live radio if you can't catch it at the time. All your podcasts as well, your variety of podcasts from 5 Live are available on there. You can subscribe to the Football Daily too, so you never miss a beat. Here is Andre in midfield, who's come on for Wolves, the number 7. Second time this season that Vitor Pereira's left him out. He dropped him against Bournemouth earlier in the season too, saying that he wasn't happy with his performances in training. As it's up into the feet of João Gomez, capitalising on the loose touch by Bogle. He's got his back to goal, and he's on the left-hand side of the box. In it comes from Hugo Bueno, and the header is over the top from Tolu Orokodare. And at the moment, Wolves are only offering half blows to Carl Darlow's goal.
Yeah, I think he should have done better. I think he should have hit the target. He's rose the highest. It was a good ball from Bueno. There was good pace into a good area. He's won the header. I think he's got a clean header on it as well, and that's the bit he'll be disappointed with. Sometimes with them, he can get a bit on it, and you know, but he's got a clean header on that there, and he's failed to hit the target, and be disappointed with that, I'm sure.
21 goals Tolu Orokodare scored last season in the Belgian Pro League with Genk. A couple of good seasons actually in the Jupiler League out there, and was a goal scorer earlier this month for his country Nigeria in a World Cup qualifier against Rwanda. Got the only goal of the game. Wolves need 2 goals here, trailing by 3-1 at home to Leeds, and we are 10 minutes away from seeing how many extra minutes are going to be on the board of Sam Allison, the 4th official this afternoon. It's beginning to looked like a very difficult afternoon for Wolves in terms of breaking Leeds down again. And remember, Ladislav Krejci's goal did give them the lead, and at that point, Andy Reid, Molineux was bouncing. It isn't now.
Yeah, it was when that goal went in. I think we mentioned even before half time, it felt like that goal was a long time ago, and it definitely feels like it again now. There hasn't been an awful lot for the Wolves fans to cheer about other than that goal today. It's been a pretty comfortable performance from Leeds, and unless they get a goal pretty quickly, it might just peter out.
This is Andre, 15 yards outside Leeds penalty area, teed up for Agbadou, who's really wrapped his foot around that towards the back post for Arias, who got something on it to guide it back into the box. Leeds clearance as far as João Gomes. Now Hugo Bueno. His cross was too deep for Orokadare, who clearly was the target. There were some shouts from the Wolves fans for a possible handball against Jack Harrison there. There weren't any players in old gold that were complaining, at least to my eye anyway, and Wolves come again. They're applying a bit of pressure here at least with Arias to Bueno. Bueno's delivery just bounced off the heels of a Leeds man, Aronson, and cleared away upfield by Ampadu.
Yeah, the crowd now, it's now or kind of never, I suppose. You know, they're trying to urge them forward. They're urging them to be more adventurous, to get more men into the box, to put the ball into the box, to be a bit more aggressive in the tackle, because they know that not much has happened really over the last kind of 10 minutes or so. That if it keeps going the way it's going, the game's just going to peter out. There's going to be nothing in it for Wolves, and that'll be 5 games without a win.
Yeah, and that is a major problem for Wolves at the start of this new season. There's a great quote from Vitor Pereira this week saying, when a wolf is suffering, when a wolf is in pain, it's time for the pack to unite, which I think would have been words that the Wolves fans would have carried into this game with hope, but hope that is slowly disappearing. And we've got a break in play at the moment because Jayden Bogle, who fell awkwardly from that earlier cross into the penalty area, the challenge with Arias, and he just seemed to come down on perhaps his right foot, Andy, and he's still down at the moment, needing treatment.
Yeah, I can't really see. We can't really see because there's medical staff around them, but they look reasonably concerned about this. I think it's always difficult in the modern game, though, isn't it, to tell whether somebody in this position, whether they're just playing for time or whether they are actually injured.
Well, Daniel Farke's going to take the decision to remove him anyway, so he's making a double change here, the Leeds manager. James Justin is going to come on for Bogle, who is not moving very freely.
No, he's not, and he's having to be kind of helped around, even though everybody knows they're making the change, so it's quite obvious that he's not putting on. He's still limping around there. He's got his boot off. He's obviously landed awkwardly on it. I think he's played well today, and I suppose a particular mention for Longstaff, who's just come off, who I think has been excellent. He's been everywhere. He's a player that knows the Premier League really well. He knows how to get about that midfield, and he's put in an impressive performance today. Yeah,
the Japanese international Al Tanaka, who's recently come back from injury, was on the bench last week at Fulham. He's come on for Longstaff in midfield. Some goals to tell you about in just a moment in the EFL as Wolves try and break, as the deflected pass takes it to Chachoa on the right, and then the deep cross in towards Orokadare. Menetzi's in there, and the ball has bounced off the Wolves man, I think, and out of play for a goal kick. Or has Anthony Taylor seen a foul by maybe Orokadare?
Yeah, I didn't think there was too much in it. Trying to maybe look at the replay, but I didn't see too much in. I thought the two of them were just competing. But look, but either way, Menetzi hasn't been able to move his feet quick enough, and the Leeds defenders got back in there, and nothing's come of it. So even if it wasn't a free kick, there's nothing really too much to go into in that situation.
Bromley have equalised against Chesterfield. It's 2-2 there. Cardiff have got one back against Bradford City, but they're still trailing 3-1 at home. Elsewhere, Stevenage now 2-1 up against Exeter, as are AFC Wimbledon, who have gone ahead at Doncaster Rovers, and Reading are 2-1 up against Leyton Orient. There's a goal at the Amex as well from an own goal actually from Van Hecker, so it's 2-2 now between Brighton and Spurs. Remember, Brighton were 2-0 up in that game. That's on 5 Live right now, so you can listen to the closing stages of that if you wish, with Ali Bruce Ball and Michael Brown. And still here as we head towards the final 5 minutes plus stoppage time. It's Wolves 1, Leeds 3. All the goals in the first half. Krejci for Wolves, and then Calvert-Lewin Stack's free kick, Okafor making it 3-1, and those 3 Leeds goals came in the space of about 16 minutes at the back end of the first half.
Yeah, but they dominated pretty much all of the first half as well, and it's Leeds now at the moment that are in that kind of low block. They're just letting Wolves have the ball and inviting them to put it into the box,
which Agbadou does, the centre half, but Justin gets there before Bueno, who was trying to creep in behind him. Aronson's under pressure from Krejci. Has he fouled Aronson? No. Referee is happy for the two of them to go on, and it's out of play for a Wolves throw, so Ladislav Krejci's done well there. And but that's a terrible throw back to him, and unfortunately, or fortunately from a Wolves perspective, Leeds are not able to take advantage through Tanaka because he couldn't quite keep it in play. But
yeah, the groans that we're hearing now is because Aronson's gone down injured this time, and it looks like he's got a bit of cramp. The players are stretching off. From a Leeds perspective, you don't want the physios to come on because then he'll have to go off for a period of time. And then Daniel Farke's reshuffling the pack again. There's them changes ready to be made. Bit of fresh legs, some fresh impetus, and hopefully from a Leeds perspective that they'll be able to see it out.
Yeah, I can see the number 44 of Ilya Gruev down on the touchline ready to go for Leeds, as is Lucas Mecha, who prior to today was the only Leeds player to have scored a Premier League goal this season, that penalty against Everton. But his team are 3-1 up here. Wolves are in possession with João Gomez halfway inside Leeds half for Agbadou, who crosses right-footed. Out comes Darlow. Very brave goalkeeping from him. He came through a cluster of bodies, both white and old goal, to get there. But Andre gets it back for Wolves. Sends it to the left for Hugo Bueno. His low cross is blocked well by James Justin, the former Leicester defender. But Wolves will try and restart it again with Andre. But you've mentioned, Andy Reid, they're struggling to find any sort of holes in this Leeds backline as Agbadou's shot takes a deflection and Darlow claims it out of the sky.
Yeah, look, I'm seeing Agbadou from 35 yards having a shot, and it's just completely unnecessary. They've got to have a bit of composure. They've got to walk it. They've got to walk the spaces. They've got to have a little bit more guile, a little bit more ambition of how they can play, and a little bit more understanding of how they can break Leeds down. It's just, I know Leeds are on the back foot a little bit, but they're defending the box really well. I wouldn't say that they feel massively stretched at this point in time.
Swinton have equalised against Salford 2-2 in League 2 in that top of the table clash. In terms of Wolves fixtures coming up as this double Leeds change happens with both Gruev and Mecha coming on. They've got Everton coming here in the League Cup, Wolves, during the week, and then they're off to Spurs next weekend, and before the international break, Brighton are the visitors to Molineux.
Tough games, but look, they're all tough games in the Premier League. Every game you go into, teams have players with quality that can hurt you. There's no doubt about that, and Wolves have found that out today.
Leeds have just held off on the subs now, so Wolves are going to take this throw first, which Agbadou actually decided to shorten it up a little bit, the Wolves centre half, and then he got it tangled in his feet, but Harrison can't escape with it for Leeds, and it's back on the halfway line with Krejci, who has been harassed by Tanaka. It's very much part of his game, Al Tanaka, and he's not letting Krejci get out here. Eventually manages to find an escape route via Hugo Bueno, but he's giving it back to Krejci, and Krejci's had to go all the way back to goalkeeper Sarr.
Yeah, really good from Tanaka. He's putting real pressure on them, making it difficult for any of the Wolves players to play the ball forward. They've got 4 on the top line now, 4 on the attacking line, Wolves do, but you just feel it's a little bit too little too late.
Manchester United against Chelsea to come from 5:30 on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Liverpool winners earlier today in the Merseyside derby by 2-1. Here's Bueno for Wolves down the left. He's having an impact since he's come on. The ball towards Chachua at the back post, his fellow wing back, and it's bounced up and behind for a Wolves corner. Bueno's deliveries haven't been brilliant, but at least he is delivering for Wolves.
And he's played on the front foot. He's tried to be aggressive with his positioning. He's played as high up the pitch as he possibly can. Some of that down to how Wolves have played in the second half, but also some of it down to how Leeds have decided to say, look, we're 2 goals up.
Mansfield have equalised at Port Vale 1-1. They're down to 10 men as well. Corner for Wolves from the right. Bueno takes it, punched away by Darlow, who's been good with his hands in those aerial situations today, the Leeds goalkeeper. Back in it comes again from Wolves, and once more Leeds are there with James Justin, and his header has come to this left-hand side for Harrison, and Harrison is almost at a canter at the moment. He's just waiting for more white shirts to come and join him in the attack. He's going to give it to Anton Stack. It's back with Harrison again, and Leeds just take the sting out of it and come back to the halfway line with Goodmanson, the left back.
Yeah, I think that's what they need now, just try and get a few passes in. Wolves look tired. They're not really getting close to anybody, so having said that, Harrison's just jumped on the ground and they've regained possession.
Yeah, Chachua just went and got it off him. Anthony Taylor telling him to get to his feet. Those Leeds changes still haven't happened, by the way, with Gruev and Mecha waiting to come on, and we're now into 4 minutes of stoppage time. So Wolves need to find something pretty quickly here if they are to stop this desperate record at the start of this new Premier League season. Agbadu's cross from the right comes to Bueno, who was being well marshalled by Aronson at the far post. Enough muscle from the Leeds man to put him off his stride. Anthony Taylor thinks it's taken a touch off Aronson, so Wolves have been given the throw. Yeah, the reason the two substitutes have been stood there for probably about 6 or 7 minutes is they've had a long throw in to deal with Leeds, so Leeds, the staff didn't want to make the change for the long throw in, and then the next time the ball went out was for a corner kick to Wolves, so they didn't want to make the change there either, so they're going to make these changes now. And Calvert-Lewin coming off the pitch, he's been excellent this afternoon. Yeah, he's off, and so is Brandon Aronson. So very much from here, Daniel Farke shutting the game down in stoppage time at the end of this second half as Gruev and Mecha come on, and Calvert-Lewin wiping a bit of sweat from his brow, looking up a little thumbs up as well to somebody he must clearly know in the stand that we're sat in, the Billy Wright. It's a really good springboard for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's had a lot of injury problems. It's been well publicised. This is a good performance from him. It will give him confidence. He looks fit enough. So hopefully for him he's able to kick on, and the Leeds fans will definitely be hoping that he's able to. Wolves take the throw, they work it infield. Andre's going to shoot from 30 yards out, hit his own man, Arias, I think, yep. And it spins out of play for a goal kick, and the ironic jeers from the Leeds fans. Yeah, again, this is another shot, a little bit like the Agbadou one maybe 6 or 7 minutes ago. 35 yards out, completely unnecessary. You've got to keep working the space, try and work a good area to put the ball into the box, but no, and look, there's a sense around the ground now. The stadium's more than half empty at this stage, particularly that standoff to the left-hand side there is completely deserted. The Wolves fans have seen enough. Yeah, the Stan Cullis stand, Andy, is so deserted that actually you can fully make out the two Wolves and the Wolves club badge, that the mosaic within the seats. That's how empty it is in that particular section. Yeah, look, if fans come, they can decide when they come and when they go. It's completely up to them. I have to be honest with you, I don't really think that Wolves as a collective team and maybe staff today have given them very much to go on and given them very much hope that they're going to be okay this season. And you can hear the Leeds United anthem booming out from their away supporters, and those away supporters are going to see Leeds United's first away Premier League win of the season, so this is one for them to enjoy. As the cross comes in for Strand Larsen for Wolves, too high for him. Goodmanson tries to get a touch on it, and actually his touch has taken it out of play for a Wolves throw right down by the corner flag on this near right hand side. But they're not happy, the Wolves fans, that the urgency just isn't there from the players to go and get this ball in the box. Agbadou's just jogged off to get the ball, and he's the one who takes the throw. But it's Wolves 1, Leeds 3, deep in stoppage time at the end of this game. Surely there is no reprieve from here for Wolves, as the cameras line themselves up on the touchline right in the face of Vitor Pereira, the Wolves manager. Here's Arias putting his shoulder in to get it back for Wolves on the edge of Leeds penalty area. To the right for Chachua, blocked by Ampadu, who celebrates that moment, then tells his team to get up the pitch. He's another one that's been excellent today. He's marshalled that area between kind of midfield and forward, just in front of that back four. He's marshalled it really well. He's been excellent in possession. He's probably, for me, I would say, being the best player on the pitch today. Badou's header, Strand Larsen can't get there. Darlow has got it, the Leeds United goalkeeper, and I reckon, Andy, that we are just about done at Molineux. There's the full-time whistle A chorus of boos from the Wolves supporters. 5 defeats from 5 games at the start of this new Premier League season, in a week when Vitor Pereira, their coach, was given a brand new 3-year deal. They are stuck, rooted right at the bottom of the Premier League table. But for Leeds United, a first away win since they've returned to the top flight, with 3 first-half goals from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Anton Stack and Noah Okafor, all of them scoring their first goal for their new side. And frankly, they were very comfortable in the second half to ensure that they've got those points.
Yeah, although there's been a bit more territory and a bit more possession for Wolves in the second half, part of that has to go down to the fact that Leeds have dropped off a little bit. They haven't needed to go after the game. They've got a 2-goal lead. Real lack of creativity and for me a real lack of aggression in the Wolves team, particularly in the first half. I didn't think that they got after the ball well enough, especially when they went 1 goal up. They had the opportunity to really go after Leeds. They didn't. They dropped. They let Leeds then get a real foothold in the game. Leeds began to feel really comfortable in the game and knock the ball about. But for Wolves, like I say, no aggression, not really getting after the ball, no tackles going in, look devoid of creativity today, and it's a real worry. On the other hand, if you're a Leeds fan, you will be absolutely delighted today. They've played some great football. They scored 3 fantastic goals, really good goal. The standout being the free kick from Stack, who was brilliant today as well. Loads of brilliant performances. You can see an identity, you can see how they want to play, draw teams down if they need to. If there's too much pressure on them, they miss them out, go into Calvert-Lewin, but they have a plan when that happens. The midfielders then go and get close to him. Aronson and Okafor today were a real handful, particularly Okafor in them wide areas. Really positive, really good day for Leeds today. They will be ecstatic. Those Leeds fans over there, that end is still full. They're singing, they're absolutely over the moon. They've gone 7 points clear of one of their what will be perceived to be relegation rivals. Leeds fans might not thank me for that. They might think they can push up towards mid-table. I don't know, but that's what it was like at the start of the season. That's what we all kind of thought, but they put themselves in a great position. Great day for Leeds.
Yeah, and I think the concern from a Wolves perspective are that not just Leeds but Sunderland and Burnley, all 3 of them look this season like they've got far more about them than any of the promoted teams did 12 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunderland have picked up some good wins. Burnley look decent. They're picking up points as they go along. They're going to be organised under Scott Parker. We know that, and these are the type of games at home against the promoted teams that if you're not picking up points, the season becomes really difficult, because you mentioned earlier the games that they've got coming up, the teams that they've got to come here, where they've got to go. It doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. So really worrying times, I would suggest, for Wolves. That's an understatement, but lots of positivity from a Wolves perspective, but lots of positivity from a Leeds point of view today.
Yeah, for Wolves it's Spurs away and Brighton at home in terms of their next Premier League games. They've got Everton in the League Cup here during the week, and for Leeds, Bournemouth away next weekend, but they will be carrying a lot of positivity into that match as the last semblance of Wolves players, and there aren't too many left on the pitch, who are walking around clapping the very few Wolves fans that are actually still left inside Molineux, because most, perhaps understandably, have already left to make their way home. But those Leeds United fans are bouncing in the away end, and there are big smiles on the faces of Daniel Farke. A little wave from him, a parting wave to the Leeds fans and those Leeds United players as well. The goals from Calvert-Lewin, from Anton Stack and Noah Okafor, and remember, all this off the back of Ladislav Krejci giving Wolves a lead 8 minutes in. But what it means is that Leeds have moved on to 7 points, 2 wins and a draw from their first 5 games, and for Wolves the desperate statistic of 5 played, 5 defeats and goals conceding regularly here at home. 4 against Man City, 3 against Everton, 3 today against Leeds.
If you're going to stay up in the league, then you need to be getting clean sheets, or you need to be only conceding 1 goal in a game if you do, because there's not many games in the Premier League for the teams in the bottom kind of 6 or 7 that score more than 2 goals in a game. So if you're conceding 2, 3, 4 goals, just suggests then that you're not going to pick up any points. So they need to get to a point where they're not conceding goals, or if they do concede goals, it's only one in a game. Otherwise, they're not going to have any chance, because